Tiffany Mendoza claims her trainer promised her perfect abs in 90 days, but she didn't see results. Sam Lowe's says Ms. Mendoza didn't stick to the program and skipped weekly check-ins, so she has no one to blame but herself.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. You may be seated. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is the case of Mendoza versus Lowe's. Ms. Mendoza, you are suing Mr. Lowe's for $1,000 because you say you did not get the results that you were promised from a 90-day ab challenge.
That's right.
And the defendant, Mr. Lowe's, you say that the plaintiff failed to fulfill her obligations. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that's
All
correct.
right. I want to understand this ab challenge. Where did you hear about it? How did you meet Mr. Lowe's? Explain to the court, Ms. Mendoza, what led you here.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw his ad for a 90-day ab program. It's about to be summertime. I wanted to get my abs ready, so I contacted him. I reached out, and he had me pay $1,000 up front for meal plans, workouts, and weekly check-ins. So I did it, and 2.5 months go by, and I saw no results, Your Honor.
Mr. Lowe, she said she did 2.5 months on your meal plan, your workouts, everything, and she saw no results.
Yes, Your Honor. There were results, but not only that, I have a 90-day program. I've been training for over 5 years. She's not my first client, and she definitely won't be my last client. I just needed her to be consistent, and there was a lot of times that she did not follow through with that part of the deal, so therefore I couldn't help her reach the goal that she
Tell me what the
needs.
program entails.
Your Honor, I was on a plant-based meal. I was working out twice a day, every day. I was meeting with him weekly, and I didn't even lose a pound, Your Honor. Not even a pound.
Your Honor, that's not true, Your Honor. I also have proof of other clients that I've worked with that have followed my workout regimen and that have seen true results.
Your Honor, I am not worried about them. I am worried about my results.
Do you have a copy of the program? Is it written anywhere?
Yes, Your Honor.
May I see that,
can
Sean?
present to you the evidence right there. Right there, you can see the meal plan that I followed, the advertisement.
90-day ab transformation.
Perfected, guaranteed, he stated.
Guaranteed ab perfection.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor, if they consistently follow through with the program, Your Honor. I also have proof of my own that shows when I checked in with her and times when I could not get in contact with her, Your Honor.
So I see here you signed the contract. You had a goal of losing 8 pounds.
Yes.
And a lean and toned appearance and 6-pack abs. These were your goals.
These were the goals that we came up with together after we talked, and he kind of modified it to my body type.
And what's interesting is it also says that client understands that to reach those goals, she must stay consistent with all workout instruction
Yes,
and
Your
knows
Honor.
that the trainer isn't held responsible for client results if the regimen isn't met.
Yes, Your Honor, which I find kind of sketchy because I followed everything to a T and there were no results.
But if you found it sketchy, why did you even sign this?
Well, I found it sketchy after I did not see any results. After the 2 months in, I double-checked back in with him and I told him, okay, what can we change? I have no results. I've been hungry. I completely changed my diet. I don't even go out with my friends to the same restaurants anymore. I work out twice a day. What can we do? And he just told me to keep working hard, that I was doing everything right. And that's when my suspicions started to come in.
That he was running a scam?
Exactly.
So, Mr. Lowe's,
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Mendoza is saying she's an unsatisfied customer. She
Yes.
says she went through your program and followed it to the T for 2.5 months,
Yes.
only to get no results.
Yes, so actually, I have proof. Number one, it is a 3-month process, so even if she wants to say she's came to me for 2.5 months, it takes a full 90 days, Your Honor. And I have proof if I can provide the proof
I'd like
you.
to see that, please.
Okay.
Coming up,
I see abs coming in, don't you, Sean?
I see several ads.
And
Yeah.
that's just from 2
I mean,
months,
the
Your Honor.
gallery can see abs, right?
Yes.
Shoot, I'm about to get on Mr. Lowe's program.
And later,
Anyone who was driving that car and a rearview mirror fell right in front of their eyesight, they would have been distracted and most likely hit a car.
we're back with the case of Tiffany Mendoza, who brought her trainer Sam Lowe's to court over the promise of perfect abs.
All right, I see these pictures.
Yes, Your Honor.
A lot of impressive before and afters.
And if you look at her, Your Honor, as you can tell, her abs were even coming in, and that's
Ms.
just
Mendoza.
yes, and that's just
Ms.
2
Mendoza.
months. Yes,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
So, Ms. Mendoza, you look good.
Exactly.
But I wanted abs.
I can
I
see
paid
abs.
$1,000 for abs.
It
On a
would take
teacher's
the-
salary, that's a lot of money.
So, what about that picture doesn't say toned abs to you?
I wanted a six-pack.
I see abs coming in, don't you, Sean?
I see several ads.
And,
Yeah.
and that's just from 2
I mean,
months,
the
Your Honor.
gallery can see abs, right?
Yes.
Shoot, I'm about to get on Mr. Lowe's program. Give me
Yeah.
some abs that Ms. Mendoza says are not abs. But anyway, Mr. Lowe, to be very honest with you,
Yes.
this customer expected something different than what she got.
My part of the deal is to give her consistent training. She didn't consistently come to me within the 90-day program, so it's very difficult to expect perfection when you're not giving me
So
full
I'm
effort.
looking at this contract you sent up in your evidence because
Yes,
it
Your
says
Honor.
that the client agrees for weekly check-ins to see progress or to adjust the workout regimen.
Yes, Your
And that
Honor.
the client agrees to follow a 90-day plant-based meal plan for the maximum results. And the last clause says client must understand that the trainer is not responsible for the client's outcome and results, solely rely on the client's consistency. That's
Your
clearly
Honor.
stated in the contract. I see your signature and I see his signature.
Yes, Your Honor.
I was consistent, Your Honor.
Also,
Was she consistent, Mr. Lowe's?
No, Your Honor. Also, in the proof that I gave you, I also have details of when I reached out to her in our weekly check-ins. I'll admit, the first month, she did great. She was checking in with me, which is why she did have results, you understand?
So
But-
the client check-in plan,
Yes, ma'am.
here it is. And so I see that she was there week 1, week 2,
Yes.
week 3, week 4.
Yes.
Starting week 5, it says miss check-in due to nail
Yes,
appointment.
exactly, Your
Week
Honor.
6, your upper strength is declined. You did come on week 6. Then week 7, you missed it again. You had a doctor's appointment. Then week 8, you adjusted some of the upper body weight. Week 9, you just didn't show. Week 10, you came back, and then week 11 and week 12, you didn't show.
Yes,
Your Honor, I communicated with him about why I couldn't show those specific days.
Why couldn't you reschedule?
That's my point. I wanted to reschedule, but he has other clients, so he couldn't meet. We couldn't come up with a date.
Well, that's the problem when they're in demand. If you get a good trainer that's getting results, they're going to be in demand.
But these are not the results I paid for, is
All
what
right.
I'm saying.
So and I'm so glad you said that because I went back to the agreement, the intake form where you started to talk about your goals.
Right.
8-pound weight loss. You said you didn't lose a pound.
Not a pound.
Muscle gain. Do you think you gained muscle? You look pretty lean to me.
Yes, I believe I did gain muscle.
A firmer butt. Do you think your butt got firmer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Healthier eating habits. If you were following that plan, being plant-based.
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah.
Lean and toned appearance. That came through.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the 6-pack abs. I might not have seen 6 yet, but I was about at 4.
Your Honor, he guaranteed perfected.
Also, Your
abs.
Honor,
But when you perfect something, just like you perfect a craft, that means you improve it.
Your Honor,
What are perfect abs?
a six-pack. We could have started at a six-pack.
Every person has something on their bodies that they could continue to perfect in some way.
Your Honor,
exactly,
the pictures
Your Honor,
he-
and I tried
Can
to
I
explain
speak?
that to her, and
Can
I
I
also
speak?
let her know at the beginning that everybody has different results depending on how hard you work. And she didn't want to follow through with her part of the bargain, like getting your nails done instead of working out. She just wants to
That's
post
blasphemy.
pictures. Blasphemy. She
Your
just
Honor,
wants to post
I
pictures
still
on
worked
Instagram.
out. I just didn't meet with him. I needed my nails done. But I still did the workouts. Just because I didn't meet with him doesn't mean that I wasn't doing them.
And so why is it important to meet?
It's very important to me. That's the only way that I can truly gauge where my clients are at. I need to see how they work out. That tells me, you know, which part of their abs they need to work on. Also, her goals are unrealistic, and I tried to explain that to her at the beginning of the process. She wants to lose weight, but also gain muscle mass.
Your Honor, I would not have brought him here if I felt like I did not do my part. I did do my part.
But Ms. Mendoza, you already admitted in court that you did not come to very pivotal check-ins. You made the error by not coming to all of the check-ins.
Yes, Your Honor.
I do not agree, Your Honor.
I know you don't. You're a beautiful young woman. I can see that you look toned, you look fit. You may not have gotten everything you wanted, but you look great.
Your Honor,
I get
thank
it.
you so much, but at the end of the day,
It
I'm
has
an
been
unhappy
determined
customer.
by this court.
Your Honor.
Judgment for the defendant. Ms. Mendoza, when you sign up for something and you pay your money, you gotta go.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
At the end of the day, there's nothing anyone can say. I signed up for something, I paid for something, and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
So to me, you're a scam and will be a scam.
There's nothing I have to say. The proof is in the pudding. I showed the judge what the truth is, and I wish you would understand what the truth is.
Coming up,
On the flip side, Mr. Winters, you knew your car had an issue with the rearview mirror. That's unsafe for you, and you should certainly have let Mr. Moreau know.
Chris Winters claims he let his friend borrow his car for an interview, but it was wrecked in an accident before he got it back. Greg Morrow says Mr. Winters willingly loaned him the car, knowing it was falling apart.
Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Winters versus Moreau. Mr. Winters, you are suing Mr. Moreau for $1,000 to cover your insurance deductible. Mr. Moreau, you say the accident was all the plaintiff's fault. Is that correct?
That is correct,
All right,
Your Honor.
let's start with you, Mr. Winters. What happened?
Yeah, so we were roommates in college, and I know that he's always been trying to pursue dreams in the big tech. And so when I heard he had an interview, I let him to borrow my car. When it came back, he had rear-ended someone, and that's how I incurred the $1,000 deductible that I'm now suing him for.
All right, so take me to that day, Mr. Moreau. What happened in the car?
What happened was I was pulling out of a parking lot, and his rearview mirror fell down while I was pulling out, which caused me to hit the car in front of me.
All right, so you're pulling out forward,
Yeah.
and the
Rearview mirror.
rearview mirror drops.
Yes.
And what happens?
And I went to grab it, and next thing you know, the car in front of me stopped a little short, and I bumped right into him.
Your Honor,
Okay.
if I can add one more thing he's not mentioning, I have some more evidence to bring up. On his Instagram stories, I happened to see him eating an ice cream cone at the same time in one hand while he was driving.
Well, he wasn't doing a full Insta story while he was driving,
Yes,
was he?
Your Honor. I actually have that.
Let me see that evidence, please.
I'll take your whole evidence folder here. Thank you.
Thank you. Were you eating ice cream and driving and doing an Insta story, Mr. Moreau?
Now, the Insta story happened while I was parked. I was parked in the parking lot, took the picture, and then I drove off to bring the car back to him.
But you were eating ice cream.
I was carefully eating the ice cream while pulling out the parking lot. But anyone who was driving that car and a rearview mirror fell right in front of their eyesight, they would have been distracted and most likely hit a car.
Coming up,
And you also submitted evidence to the court of what your car looked like after the.
we're back with the case of Chris Winters, who blames his friend Greg Morrow for damage to his car.
I need to ask you, Mr. Winters, did you have any idea that your rear view mirror was loose and could fall off?
Honestly, Your Honor, it is something that I've dealt with before, and I do keep a pair of glue in the glove compartment where he could, repair
He
that
did
if
not
needed.
tell me about that, though.
All right, so when he borrowed the car, did you mention that at all?
No, Your Honor.
So you just was hoping that glue was gonna hold while Mr. Moreau borrowed your car?
In my defense, he still hit the car in front of him. It wasn't the car behind him, it was the car in front, so it doesn't matter the rear view mirror was working.
Yes, it does.
It just happened at the same time he had the ice cream cone in his hand.
All right, so you're saying if he wasn't eating ice cream, he wouldn't have hit the car?
It didn't help, for sure.
All right, so you only had one hand on the wheel, Mr. Moreau, because you were eating the ice cream, or you weren't holding the ice cream at the time of the accident?
I was holding the ice cream at the time of the accident. I did have my wrist rested on the wheel to, keep it sturdy. And I'm sure.
Do you think that's the proper way to drive a car?
No, but.
Do you remember how they teach you how to drive a car?
Yeah.
Where should your hands be?
10 and 2.
And why is that?
Safety. Be
For
safe.
safety.
Yeah.
So that if something happens, you will be able to do what? Gallery? Very good. React quickly, maintain control. On the flip side, Mr. Winters, you knew your car had an issue with the rearview mirror. That's unsafe for you, and you should certainly have let Mr. Moreau know.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
So now I'm looking at your invoice here, and you also submitted evidence to the court of what your car looked like after the accident. That is a significant amount of damage. That says to me you weren't just pulling out of a lot. You were going at a speed over what you would go pulling out of a parking lot.
Well, the car in front of me stopped short pretty fast and just caught me off guard.
When you borrow somebody else's car, I think you would owe even a higher duty of care driving someone else's car to make sure you're not doing anything that could distract you. So I think both of you are responsible, and both of you should contribute to this deductible. For that reason, judgment for the plaintiff for $500, which is half of the $1,000 petition for. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $500.
So what do you both think about the verdict?
It's not quite what I wanted, but I'll accept it.
Yeah, I guess it's fair.
Are you guys still friends?
We'll have to see about that.
Yeah, maybe get an ice cream cone, talk about it.
Bobby Brenner claims his reputation was trashed after a tennis player had him kicked out of a charity event. Katie Berkeley says Mr. Brenner was the one who was trashed, and that's what got him in trouble.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Please be seated. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Brenner versus Berkeley. Mr. Brenner, you are suing Ms. Berkeley for $2,426 for defamation of character. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. Please tell the court what happened.
Well, I would like to start out by saying I've been a huge fan of tennis and a part of that community for a very long time. I've gone all over the world checking out different tournaments and played a bit myself. With that kind of, being really what I care about the most. And how this all came to be is we ended up at a charity event about 7 months ago that was going to be played at my club, the Desert Tennis Club, and that was where this altercation initially happened. I have been following Miss Berkeley's playing career, and also as well as Brianna. I've been, very interested in seeing how they both play. They're both great talents. So they started playing each other. They were the two opponents there, and it was, it's a charity game, so it wasn't anything serious. It wasn't a big deal. Katie was able to get a couple of aces, which I thought looked a little out. So I yelled out, "Kiss my ace," after that happened, and it got some laughs and everything like that. So I didn't think it was a big deal. But then she comes up, Katie does, and yells to us, "Shut up." And so we're like, okay, it's not a big deal. This is just a game. We're just trying to have fun. Brianna ends up winning the first set there, and we're kind of getting a little into it. It's basically shouting.
Who's we?
Me, the crowd. We're kind of getting into it. We're cheering on Brianna, trying to get her to win the next set, obviously. But Katie starts really taking it to her and actually ends up winning. So they're all tied up at that point, and that's one set apiece. And so I start getting the crowd into it again, start chanting "Brianna, Brianna," like that to kind of get them more into it.
And what is your point?
The point is she called me out afterwards. She actually had the announcer come out and say, "Please be quiet." And she grabbed the mic, yelled, "Get that drunk guy in the yellow t-shirt out of here, he's ruining the game." So I had to be kicked out of it mid-match, and basically was treated like,
So,
just some
Mr.
drunk
Brenner, I
alcoholic.
want to be clear. You took it upon yourself to decide that this entire tennis charity event needed to be more lively, so you started to engage the audience and start chants?
Well, I mean, it's a charity thing. It's not a big deal. It's not like we're at the U.S. Open or anything like that. So, I mean, we were just doing it in good fun.
And
I mean,
so
other
I
people were
want to come
involved.
to you, Ms. Berkeley. He says you took the mic and told him to get this guy out of here.
Yes, that was.
You could hear him and hear the crowd while you're trying to play?
Yes, ma'am. That was during the second set, but there had been multiple times that he had called out in the crowd in the first set as well, and it had escalated, and he was instigating the crowd.
Because I don't know, I've never been to a tennis match where they're shouting and chanting like football. Have you in the gallery? No. Have you ever seen live tennis? I mean, even on TV, it doesn't look like that. So were you feeling like this is going to be a lighthearted day? All the chants and stuff are going to happen?
No, Your Honor. I wasn't. I was playing against one of my good friends, Brianna, who's here with me today. She's a great opponent. We're basically at the same level, so you never really know who's going to win. So I did take it very seriously. We're also trying to raise money for a charity, and I thought that's where the focus should be that day.
What prompted you to take the microphone and ask that he be removed?
So, thank you, Your Honor. In the first set, he had been calling out "Kiss My Ace" several times, which I thought was rude and disrespectful. I had shot a couple of different aces, and I think it was my fourth ace, and he continued to call it out. The organizer and the umpire kept asking the crowd to be quiet, and then I went up to the stand where he was sitting, and I asked him to be quiet. Then in the second set, it only got worse when he started chanting out Brianna's name. So that's when I spoke to the organizer, and I spoke on the mic and asked to have the gentleman in the yellow shirt removed. He seems to be drunk, and he is ruining the game.
Coming up,
You keep talking about your life being damaged and you've been harmed, but you're the only one so far in the testimony that's been acting a fool.
and later,
Why did you quit, Miss So?
I quit because there is a situation I couldn't handle no more, Your Honor. I discovered that Mr. Howard was having an affair.
we're back with the case of Bobby Brenner, who brought Katie Berkeley to court for damaging his reputation.
So you make that request, Mr. Brenner, what happens? Someone comes over to you and what happens?
I was escorted out, and I did so after asked, obviously. I didn't make any big deal out of it, but the real problem is what happened after that. I was essentially defamed by, they kicked me out of the club for a full year, suspended me on that, started to actually get into my personal life. I coached my son's Little League team, and now they got wind of that. And
So you've
kicked me off
presented
for a
here the
year
letter
there,
of
too.
suspension. You've got a letter of suspension.
Yes, for
From the
suspension
tennis
from the
club.
tennis club for 1 year, and also from my son's Little League games, which I think went a bit too far in that situation. And I also work at a memorabilia shop, sports memorabilia shop, as a manager. We were getting constant calls all the time in terms of just kind of harassment, because it started circulating online, on Twitter, and all these different things. And it was, starting to really ruin my life. It actually affected my work day, and I actually ended up having to take a month off of unpaid just to get away from it and to draw a little flack away from the business so that they didn't get any more deep water in connection to
So
us.
these are lost wages.
This is correct. For 1 month of unpaid wages there, or unpaid time off, I should say.
Okay, but your suit is for defamation of character. This isn't evidence that suggests that someone defamed you.
Well, this is actually what occurred. So we have here, I was tagged in this Twitter, I'm sorry, yeah, let me get that to you. I was tagged in this Twitter thing for Kiss My Ace, so I was called out online on social media. I actually even had a article written against me in the paper.
Kiss my ace.
Yes.
But isn't this what you were saying at the tennis match?
I mean, it was, if I would have said an actual curse word, I'd be like, okay, maybe. But like, this was something that was just a
what
cheap.
I'm asking you is a yes or no question.
Yes, you
Is
are.
this not what
Yes.
you were chanting at the tennis match?
Yes, yelling out something like that is one thing, but going after me and basically trying to damage my life and actually harm me in that way is way over the line compared to what actually happens.
I want to get back. You keep talking about your life being damaged and you've been harmed, but you're the only one so far in the testimony that's been acting a fool.
I don't see how in that situation that I was, deserving of that much, hit back on me.
Who defamed you? I need to hear testimony about the defamation.
When she said that I was a drunk and yelled that out and basically was like, get that drunk guy out of here, that was the moment where I was like, I'm not that kind of person. I don't need to be identified in that way. And when it actually started getting into the paper and everything like that, it went a little too far.
So you're saying in the paper, it was all about you being ejected, and
Yes.
it's about Ms. Berkeley saying you were
Right.
a drunk guy.
Right.
And so then everybody at the tennis match thought you were drunk.
Yeah, they just
when
think that
really
this is
you
something-
were just obnoxious.
If that's the way we could
Okay.
put it, that was technically, yeah.
I want to go over to Ms. Berkeley, and I want to hear from your witness as well, ma'am. As a matter of fact, let me hear from your witness now. Please stand up. State your name for the court.
My name is Brianna Petty.
Now, Ms. Petty, from previous testimony, we've heard that you were Ms. Berkeley's opponent that day.
Correct.
Could you also hear all this screaming?
I could, yes.
You could. How did it affect your play?
I mean, tennis is not a game where the crowd is supposed to be loud. Fans can cheer, but not while we're playing. So, this isn't football or basketball where everyone's supposed to be loud. While we're playing, it's supposed to be quiet so we can focus on the match at hand.
Right. So you were disturbed, Ms. Berkeley was disturbed, Mr. Brenner was just the only one having fun. Well, maybe the crowd was too.
I don't think I was the only one. Right.
The crowd was having fun with it. The problem is that when you're acting like a person who is not aware of their surroundings and is not acting and behaving with the decorum necessary or required or expected in a certain situation, it is not unreasonable for somebody to think, this guy must be drunk. Right? Because what person, especially a person who belongs to a tennis club, watches tennis often, you knew these players, so for you to behave that way, it's not unreasonable for her to think this guy is out here drunk, acting a fool, making everybody chant, get him out of here, because at the end of the day, the focus shouldn't be on you, it should be on the charity that they're there to raise money for. It is nothing wrong with trying to have fun, but I think time and place are important here, and your judgment was off. With that said, when she made that comment, you really did the damage to your own reputation with your own behavior. It wasn't her calling you drunk that did it. It was your behavior, period. That's damage you did to yourself. With that said, judgment for the defendant. Court is adjourned.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
This is ridiculous. You know what you did.
I'm
was
19 years
wrong.
old, man.
Yeah, maybe you should learn a little more responsibility before you ruin someone else's life.
Maybe you shouldn't take a 19-year-old to court over a tennis match for a charity.
Well, I guess you get to win anyways, so fine.
Coming up,
I made those purchases for his mistress.
Okay.
And
Well,
I have the proof.
let me move these papers over. Let's get down to the real nitty-gritty. Were you or were you not having an affair?
Steve and Julia Howard claims his former assistant made suspicious purchases with the company credit card before she quit. Lexi So says Mr. Howard approved all the charges as they were gifts for his mistress.
Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Howard versus So. Mr. and Mrs. Howard, you are suing Miss So for $3,491.97 for unauthorized charges made using company funds. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And Miss So, you say that all of the purchases made were authorized.
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, I'll start with the plaintiffs. Mr. and Ms. Howard, please tell the court what happened.
Okay, I'm here to sue my husband's former personal assistant for unauthorized charges that she made with the business card.
You and your husband own the business together?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, he gave her this business card that he allowed her to use, but just for business matters.
All right, let's get to the point where you feel like you were made aware that there was some unauthorized charges going on.
So upon her quitting, I went in because we had to do an audit, go over the books. So I went in. went over things, and I've seen a lot of suspicious transactions that should not have been made as far as to technologies and jewelry.
Why did you quit, Ms. So?
I quit because there is a situation I couldn't handle no more, Your Honor. I discovered that Mr. Howard was having an affair.
Okay. Is that true, Mr. Howard?
You know, I can't speak on that. All I know is I'm a businessman. I put in a position of power. She was my personal assistant. I helped her with anything
Just
she
tell
needed.
the
So
truth.
maybe she's just jealous, or maybe she's just upset.
Just
that,
tell
you know,
the truth.
Coming up,
Your Honor, I have a witness that can prove all I'm saying.
Sean, please escort the witness into the courtroom.
we're back with a dispute between Steve and Julia Howard and his former assistant Lexi So over questionable credit card purchases.
What information were you privy to?
Those are the purchases that he's suing me for. I made those purchases for his mistress. And
Well,
I have the proof, Your
let
Honor.
me move these papers over. Let's get down to the real nitty gritty. Were you or were you not having an affair? Well, since you don't want to
I may
answer.
have gotten, you know, I mean, you know, my wife is at home. My personal assistant left. I got to be in charge of hiring another personal assistant. You know, I'm by myself as a businessman. You know, it's very hard to sustain a business, being by yourself, being lonely.
What is he talking about?
Oh my God.
Your Honor, I have a witness that can prove all I'm saying.
Where's your witness? Sean, please escort the witness into the courtroom. Ma'am, you've already been sworn in. State your name for the court.
Sarah Jones.
Ms. Jones, what do you know about this situation?
Well, I started working for Mr. Howard about 3 years ago. He hired me. I'm a freelance graphic designer, and he told me that he was separated from his wife and that they were getting a divorce.
He told you he was separated.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you all separated, Ms. Howard?
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
You thought he was separated, but
Yes.
the truth is he wasn't even separated.
I'm learning that now, yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Howard, do you have anything to add? Sounds like you were having an affair with Ms. Jones.
No, I just had her help him on my new logos. That's it.
So you're not admitting to an affair?
She helped with my logos. She helped with the, you know, the infrastructure of my business. We had a few times
Can
where,
you
you know,
stop
we
lying
met.
for once?
So, Your Honor, the what's been submitted into evidence, those are gifts that were given to me, okay, by Mr. Howard.
Oh,
Who is buying a diamond necklace for just a simple friend?
I just love doing business. That's all I can say.
well, Mr. Howard, you definitely sticking to your story.
Your Honor, I love taking care of my people. I just love looking out for women, black
You're just
women
going to
at
stick to
that.
this story, right? That we
Minority.
didn't have any. Your Honor, we were in love with each other.
Love.
We
Love?
had
Really?
something special. I thought we had something special.
It's just business. It's nothing personal.
All right. Well, it is what it is. You don't seem to care too much, so I hope that you are equally as unbothered and indifferent by not getting your money back today. Judgment for the defendant. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
Are you ready to be honest with your wife?
Yeah, I'm ready to be honest with her. She already know. I mean, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean none of this to happen.
Natasha Wallace claims a hairstylist misrepresented his all-inclusive microlink package, which ruined her hair. Daniel Morrison says it's not his fault that she didn't follow his aftercare instructions.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
Please be seated.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Wallace versus Morrison. Ms. Wallace, you are suing Mr. Morrison for $1,250 for damaging and ruining your hair. Is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
And Mr. Morrison, you say the real damage was caused by the plaintiff. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your
All right,
Honor.
what happened, Ms. Wallace?
Well, I came to the defendant to have my hair done. My 30th birthday was coming up, so I really wanted to look fly, look real nice. And I typically go to my normal salon, but she actually moved out of town. So my best friend has referred Daniel to me because she got her hair done before.
All right, so you know someone that got their hair done by Mr. Morrison.
Yes, and her hair looked amazing, so I expected the same results. So I reached out to Mr. Morrison, and we had a virtual consultation about whether or not my hair was healthy or not, and he said it was. We're good to go. The hair actually turned out great. I was really satisfied with how it looked. I looked fly. I was ready for my trip.
All right, do you have a picture of how you look?
I do have.
I'd like
a
to
picture.
see that,
Here you
please.
go.
Thank you.
All right, keep going.
So after I was ready to go for my trip, next week, it was a 5-day trip. My now fiance, planned us a beautiful birthday extravaganza for me, 5 days in Antigua. I was prepared. I had my hair done. I was excited.
You liked your hair when you left?
I liked the hair when I left. But flash forward a week later, I'm washing my hair with the products that he recommended and I bought from his store. So
You're
I'm
shaking
doing my
your head,
job
Mr.
right.
Morrison?
I am, Your Honor. She could not have used it because if she did, it wouldn't have looked like it looked. It looked like a rat nest.
All right,
There's
so
no way.
after you used the products, but you do agree that she bought the products from your salon that day, per your recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor.
All
I
right.
do agree.
Okay,
But
you do agree with that?
There's no way she could have used it and followed my steps. It would not have looked like that.
All right, so Ms. Wallace, you wash your hair.
I wash my hair. This is not my first rodeo. I know how to manage microlinks. I know how to wash my hair. It's not rocket science. I wash my hair. I'm scrubbing my hair. The second time, I'm putting more shampoo in it, and all of a sudden, I'm realizing, wait a minute, I can barely, put my hands through my hair. I can't even I don't know what's going on, but I'm thinking maybe I just need some conditioner or something. Let me just, put that conditioner in, and I'm moving it through, and my hand is literally getting stuck. I can't touch my scalp. I washed my hair off. I washed all the conditioner off. I look into the mirror, and there's a rat nest on my head, basically. It looks worse than Michael Jackson's Jerry curl.
So you submitted a picture to the court.
Yes, I did.
That's my work.
Mm-hmm.
That's my work right there.
And that's how you remember your hair looking?
Yep, that's how I remember it looking.
And then that is what happened after you washed your hair?
Yes, Your Honor. It's a rat nest. It's disgusting. I felt hideous.
When you saw her hair, what were you thinking?
She didn't follow my steps. She followed none of my steps that I told her.
What are the steps?
So the steps were very
Child's
simple.
play. Child's play.
You didn't do them, though.
I did do them. The problem is not
Hold
the
on,
hair
let
care.
me have Mr. Morrison tell me what the steps are. What are the steps?
Yes, Your Honor. So first, you need to detangle your hair. Once you have detangled it, you shampoo it, then put conditioner in it.
So you detangle your hair first?
Yes.
Because that, to me, is not something you hear often. Usually it's wash and then condition really well, and then detangle post-conditioner. Why is it that you have to detangle it first?
Because if you're out and you're doing stuff and you put your hair up, you're gonna need to lay it down once you get from what you're doing. You're gonna need to detangle it. So once you have detangled it, shampooed it, and conditioned it, you take a brush, a palette brush, or it can be a wide tooth comb to go through your hair. The reason why I would say a wide tooth comb is so it won't get stuck.
In the microlink?
Yes.
Coming up.
So what do you think she did to make her hair look like that after washing it one time?
It did not look like she detangled it because, it's a rat nest, so she didn't detangle anything.
And later.
So you looked up and saw he was a felon, and what did you do?
So I confronted him about it, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm a felon, by the way. He just didn't even bother to tell me this.
We're back with the case of Natasha Wallace, who blames Daniel Morrison for her damaged hair.
All right, so why is this so hard, and why do you think she got the result that she did?
To be honest, Your Honor, I don't think she did anything I told her to do.
What do you think she did from looking at this picture? You're the only professional in here. So what do you think she did to make her hair look like that after washing it one time?
It did not look like she detangled it because, I mean, it's a rat nest, so she didn't detangle anything. And I'm pretty sure she didn't use the shampoo and the conditioner that I provided for her.
Your Honor, I did. It had nothing to do with the shampoo. It had everything to do with the package of hair that was used. Let me tell you exactly why I went to Daniel, because he had an all-inclusive package. I asked him, can I bring my own hair? Because that's what I usually do. This is not my first time getting marketer links. But he said no, he uses his own vendor.
I do,
and
Your
this
Honor.
vendor
I've used them for 5 years.
clearly did
No
not have
problem.
any human hair, because my hair would not end up like that. And even when I was drying my hair, I'm smelling plastic burning. Human hair does not smell like plastic when it burns.
So did you ask him, is this human hair or is this synthetic hair?
It was supposed to be human hair.
Did you ask him when you smelled the plastic burning?
Well, after I smelled the plastic burning and everything, I did call him and have him see my hair. I asked him.
Oh, you mean you smelled that after you left?
Yes, this was after when I washed my hair. When I was washing my hair and trying to, at least dry it or something so I could do something with it.
So while you were getting your hair done, you never questioned whether or not it was human hair because you had asked for and requested human hair?
Yes, it's typically
How
always
much did you
human
pay
hair.
Mr. Morrison?
I paid him a lot. I paid him $900 altogether, $100 for the deposit and $800 for the service.
So then what happened?
So after that, everything happened. I got back home, but of course, I tried to make it work. I put on a scarf for my head, and it still was not given it what was supposed to be given. So I
Your
told
Honor, the
my
moment she called me and told
fiance,
me-
I'm sorry, I'm still speaking.
You've been
I
talking
told
for
my
Okay, hold on, one at a
fiance-
time. Finish up, Ms. Wallace, because I need Mr. Morrison to have an opportunity to respond to this. So what happens?
So I call him, FaceTime him so he can see my hair. He's like, yes, that's not how it's supposed to look. No, duh. So he says, when I get back in town, come to him. I do that. And I come to him. He says, yes, I will fix it for you, but you need to pay me $450. After you already messed up my hair, you want me to pay more money? I don't think so.
Why did you quote that amount to help her?
When I saw Miss Wallace, I obviously thought, okay, she did not follow anything I told her to do. And even then, I was willing to help her. But Judge Lake, nothing is free in this world.
What happened after that? Did you go to Mr. Morrison to fix your hair?
I went to him, and when he tried to charge me, tried to scam me, like he's a crook, he already messed up my hair, and they was trying to charge me more money. I decided, no, I'm going to go to someone else. And I did. And my hair turned out nice, and it lasted for 3 to 4 months. So
did they detangle it and do the braids?
She detangled it, and unfortunately, it had to cut off my hair. 2 inches of my hair has been chopped off because it was so tangled.
Inside of the microlink?
Inside of the microlink.
What did this new stylist say was the issue with your hair?
She said it was definitely synthetic blend. It was not human hair. It was just not put in correctly. She just didn't know what was going on.
So did she say, okay, because all day you've been testifying that it was installed correctly, it just maybe wasn't the right hair, and when you shampooed it is when it snatched back up?
Yes, and that's not how human hair should react to shampoo.
All right, so what the next stylist said is that it wasn't human hair.
Yes.
Did you bring a statement or anything from that stylist to say?
No, I did not. But he agreed that it wasn't human hair.
So do you agree, Mr. Morrison, that it in fact was not human hair?
I never agreed to that, Your Honor. My vendors have always said it was human hair.
This doesn't look like human hair weave.
It's not.
It is a blend of human hair and synthetic hair, and you can see that's why it's snatched up like that. I can tell the way you're looking at the picture, you know it's not human hair. At the end of the day, I do not believe you got what you bargained for. I do not believe you gave him $900 to put a synthetic and human hair blend in your hair. I think your expectation underneath his deal was that you were going to get human hair. It is obvious from the evidence presented today that it was not 100% human hair. Therefore, as soon as you washed it, even though you followed the appropriate steps, the hair reacted the way synthetic hair does, all right? Then you went through the trouble of having to go get it taken down by somebody else. And this is one of these great instances, Mr. Morrison, in business where you learn that sometimes it's better to make the customer happy. At the end of the day, a business is only worth what people say about it. So you have to be very careful about customers who are unsatisfied and your work running around town not looking as best as it could. And again, I've watched you today. I've been studying you, and when you looked at that picture, I knew that you knew that that was not the quality of work that Ms. Wallace expected, nor that you contracted to do. It is for this reason, judgment for the plaintiff for $1,250. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $1,250.
Well, I'm not surprised that I won. If it looks like a scammer, if it walks like a scammer, it's a scammer. You're a crook.
Girl, you barely won.
Coming up.
Once she confronts you with this, what do you say?
Well, she confronted me by blasting it on social media, so she was a real child in that respect.
I didn't say anything that wasn't true.
Thomas Jones claims he was forced to leave town after his ex-girlfriend's social media posts ruined his life. Samantha Nile says she had to warn the neighbors about who he really was.
Good day, everyone. This is the case of Jones versus Nile. Mr. Jones, you are suing Ms. Nile for $5,000. Please tell the court why you're here.
Your Honor, I'm here to get money from Samantha because she ruined my life and my daughter's life.
How did she ruin your life?
Online social media bullying. She drummed us out of the community through lies, and there's nothing we can do to get the money back from the moving expenses, the lost security deposit, storage while I was looking for a new place.
So how?
It's her fault.
Tell me what happened. Why is she saying anything about you at all? What happened between you two?
Well, we met when we were at our daughters are the same age. We met at orientation for 8th grade. We started setting up play dates for our daughters, and then over the course of 2 months, we started dating and seeing each other. We were doing some family-like events together. Then my ex-wife was coming into town for 2 weeks as a surprise for my daughter's birthday, her 13th birthday. We were going to plan a party. And I told Samantha that she couldn't come over for those 2 weeks. And she totally acted like a child and blew up on the internet.
He told me while we were in bed together. I was curious, so I looked her up, and that's when I found out he had a felony. I was just
So you
confused.
looked up and saw he was a felon, and what did you do?
So I confronted him about it, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm a felon, by the way. Like, he just didn't even bother to tell me this. I could have done my research, sure, but who just
Okay,
thinks
but
they're
if it was in
sleeping
his
with a felon?
past,
Well, it was for a domestic dispute.
Okay, so it was for a domestic dispute.
Yes, Your Honor.
So there was domestic violence.
I don't know what was involved, but if you're a felon with a domestic dispute, something had to take place.
Coming up.
I just wanted to let the community know that there was a felon around town who also was...
Back with the case of Thomas Jones, who brought his ex-girlfriend Samantha Nile to court for ruining his life.
So, Mr. Jones, once she confronts you with this, what do you say?
Well, she confronted me by blasting it on social media, so she was a real child in that respect.
I didn't say anything that wasn't true, and it's a Facebook group for my community. I just wanted to let the community know that there was a felon around town who also was stealing because my Cartier ring went missing. I always take my ring off. I always put it on the nightstand, and he's even commented on it before. So I just put it on the nightstand. A few nights before, I left it there. I came back, and I asked him, where did it go? And he said, you left with it that day. And no, I didn't.
So, Mr. Jones, do you see this in the Facebook group?
Right before I was kicked out of the Facebook group, I saw this post where she was letting everybody know.
Let me see this post.
I'll take all of your evidence, actually.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I didn't say anything that wasn't true.
Thank you. So this is the post. You telling everybody you just need to be candid. I found out some disturbing information about Thomas Jones. He spent some time in jail. Be very careful of how our kids associate with him and his daughter. And then you write, my Cartier ring has gone missing. I brought it to his house, and now it's nowhere to be found. You also submitted to the court $1,913 receipt for moving expenses, and also it looks like a storage unit for $387.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People return.
After that happened, you felt like your daughter
Well, nobody
needed to
came to
leave?
my daughter's birthday party. Nobody would talk to my daughter at school. She was getting bad grades all of a sudden. Nobody would talk to me at my coffee shop. We were literally drummed out of the community. And that's when I realized I shouldn't have to pay for any of this because I'm not a thief. She has no proof that I took anything. In fact, my daughter is still friends with her daughter on social media, and there's a screenshot of a tweet of her daughter gloating about stealing the ring.
My daughter did not steal my ring.
So
Her daughter is a thief. In
This
fact,
is a tweet from Madison Nile that says, "My mom is such a B. I got the ring. That'll teach her."
She told me that she was mad at me one day, so she just tweeted something.
A defense to defamation is truth. You are a convicted felon. But then I hear your daughter taking a claim in actually taking the ring. And it's for that reason I'm not going to have you collect the full $5,000. But I will say, because you posted that, understanding that there still was a question about how that happened to you, Ms. Nile makes you liable, judgment for the plaintiff, for $1,500. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $1,500.
I don't think it's entirely fair, but at least it's something.
I don't owe him anything.
She needs to be taken down several pegs in her community. It's out of control.
Mila Wesley claims her snowboard was broken in half after she loaned it to her friend's girlfriend during a weekend getaway. Nia Summer says the snowboarding equipment was already defective, so she isn't to blame.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello. Thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Wesley versus Summer. Ms. Wesley, you are suing Ms. Summer for $610. Is that correct?
Yes,
For
Your Honor.
damaged snowboarding equipment. Is that right?
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. And the defendant, you say you do not owe the plaintiff anything. Is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. Tell the court what happened.
Hello, Your Honor. I am Mila Wesley, and I am suing Summers here for $610, as you stated, because I live in Denver, Colorado, and I invited my friend Matthew, who is her boyfriend, up to my beautiful cabin up in Breckenridge for the weekend for all of us to go snowboarding together.
How many?
5 people, but the important ones are the 3 of us.
Okay. The rest, the other 2 don't count.
They don't count.
Irrelevant souls. All right. So you invited 5 people to a snowboarding trip. What happens?
So we drive up on a Friday night, get ready to go snowboarding in the morning. This is my first time meeting Nia, and we're all excited because Matthew's been a friend of mine for 3-4 years. He has never met anyone that he's super in love with or connected with, so I was excited. Nia is a skier, which of course is totally fine. So we all drive up on the Friday and get ready to go on the Saturday. As we get there on the Friday night, unpack all of our things. Summers declares that she forgot one of her skis, which, it's a mistake, whatever. And she's like, yeah, I'll just rent some new skis in the morning or whatever. And I said, no, it's going to be super busy. There's a bunch of beautiful, fresh powder out there. And the lineups for the rentals are going to be astronomical, and the rental equipment will be subpar. So I said, why don't you just use one of my other snowboards? And that way we can all go up and have fun together. She said, no, I don't think I want to snowboard. I said, yeah, I'll teach you. I'll spend time with you. I'll coach you on some of the smaller slopes, and we'll all just have a good time. One Saturday morning came around, we all went to the mountain together, and we were just, having a blast. And I took her up one of the smaller mountains and taught her how to snowboard. And then I went off with Matthew and our other friends and went down some of the bigger runs. And
so you just took her up and taught her how to snowboard in 2 minutes?
I was with her for an extended period of time,
How
teaching
extended?
her. A couple
One
runs.
run, Your
How
Honor.
long was she with you, Miss Summer?
One run down the hill. So I feel whatever irrelevant amount of time it took to get up the hill, and one time down the hill, which was equivalent to maybe 15 minutes.
All right, so you went for one run down.
Yes.
And you were using her equipment.
Her faulty equipment, yes.
The equipment was, you said it was faulty?
I believe it was faulty.
How is it faulty?
Your Honor, I'm not familiar with snowboards, so you'll have to forgive me. I had never snowboarded in my life.
but I do know skis very well. My feet were not secure to the board, and that was faulty bindings. I never felt steady or balanced on the board. So yes, we went up a second time, and that is where my lesson, which was meant to be a 2-hour lesson, ended at the top of a mountain.
I'm not a snowboard instructor, but if
she
you were
did
that,
offer her services
but if
to
you
teach me.
are that uncomfortable, then why didn't you say something or say, you're an adult, right? You can make your own decisions, and I offered you my equipment so that you didn't have to A, spend more money, and B,
well, actually, she was willing to spend the money. You talked her out of it. Per your own testimony.
We didn't talk her out of it. We suggested it because we didn't want her to have to waste all that time.
I thought the other two people were irrelevant.
Matthew, her boyfriend.
Okay, her boyfriend and you.
Yeah.
You guys both just suggested, just use mine. Don't buy your own.
Exactly.
Okay, so
I would tend to disagree, Your Honor. Respectfully, Matthew has never pressured me into anything that I do not want to do. He could tell I was uncomfortable. I expressed no interest. In fact, I expressed disinterest in snowboarding. I'm a skier.
Does anybody have any pictures of this?
Yes, I'd like to present
equipment?
evidence.
And so you are a skier.
I'm a
Ms. Summer.
skier.
I don't do either. So you guys have to enlighten me.
She promised me 2 hours. I told her I was uncomfortable after one run.
So then what happens? You after one run, you were uncomfortable.
I was
why'd you go
uncomfortable.
on a second run?
Thank you.
Coming up.
I started going so fast, and I tried to veer off to the side so I don't hit other people. And at that point, I have a tree coming at me so fast, faster than I've ever gone on the snowboard before.
And later.
The 6th month, things began to change.
How did they begin to change? What happened?
Her boyfriend was cheating on her.
We're back with the case of Mila Wesley, who blames Nia Summer for destroying her snowboard.
So what happens on the second time? Tell me what happened.
I was going down the hill. My bindings, my feet were not properly attached to the board. She was so encouraging on my first run that as I'm falling to my knees, to my butt, she's saying, no, everyone falls. That's normal. That's normal.
Because
so
that's true.
I'm normalizing this in my mind, thinking, oh, maybe it's me and not the equipment. When I was up there on the second run, I started going so fast, and I tried to veer off to the side so I don't hit other people. And at that point, I have a tree coming at me so fast, faster than I've ever gone on the snowboard before. All I could do was move my own body, and the one thing that she did thankfully teach me was to fall back towards your butt. So as I'm pushing back to land on my butt, my snowboard goes out in front of me, and that is what thankfully impacted the tree. I could have been seriously injured.
Went feet first with the board up into the tree.
And it snapped the board in half.
And
That's
it snapped
how
in
fast
half.
I was
And this
going.
is the picture that we're seeing right now
This is
on
the
the monitor.
faulty binding. That's the board.
Oh, that's the board.
See where the feet clip in? There is a plastic element that attaches that piece to the board, and that was loose.
And that happened after the accident, or that was like that when you put your...
You know, it may have been like a small crack or something.
And were you physically injured, Miss Summer?
At that point, no. I had what I would call like normal bumps and bruises from falling to my knees and my butt during those. But the impact of the tree.
You didn't have to
thank
go to the
God,
hospital.
No, I did not.
All right. So you get down there, you meet down. She says the board breaks. What do you say?
I first, like I said, asked her if she was okay. And then I said, okay, well, you broke my snowboard, so a human person and a kind person would say, yeah, let me compensate you for that. I'm sorry that this happened. This was at the end of the day, so we were ready to leave anyways.
I see evidence here for the snowboard for $442.44, and you've also submitted an invoice for the bindings for $168.75. This is the cost to replace, I presume.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Summer, what I'd like to know from you before I give my ruling is when you decided to make the second trip down the hill, when you said, I don't feel comfortable, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it anyway, was there anyone else with you?
No, she had left me.
So you just decided to go by yourself?
Yes, there are other skiers and snowboarders coming off the lift, but they quickly make their choices and descend. So it's not like
yeah, but if you're so uncomfortable, you can also ride the lift back down the mountain. You don't have to snowboard, and they will, at the chairlift, they will let you back on and ride back down. Or you can call, one of the patrols up there, and they will escort you down as well. Or you can remove your snowboard and walk yourself down.
You got all the answers.
I got all the answers.
And guess what? The way you just rattled on, it immediately took me back to the moment that she just said, I'm going to wait for the place to open and I'm going to rent some skis. And I could hear your mouth just a-going. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is do this because you can use my equipment, because it's just how you just went on your little whole verbal exercise. I can see you doing that. And there's so much at play here. There are dynamics as it relates to the sport and doing something new for the first time. There's also social dynamics of her being the girl that's here with a group of friends that she doesn't know and just trying to fit in and having the peer pressure of, all right, well, I don't want to hold the trip up. Let me just do what other people want me to do. That's where you went wrong, Ms. Summer. Because you had in your mind what you were going to do, what you were capable of doing, and what you knew how to do. But you allowed them to coerce you and basically convince you that you're going to be helped. All you have to do is get on this snowboard and go. So there's something called assumption of risk, right? When someone assumes a risk of doing something, then you're responsible for the risk that you take. I do believe that. And I believe in this instance, you did assume the risk when you got back up to that slope and went down.
And
I'm done hearing testimony. Now, Ms. Wesley, I also think you assumed a risk, but a different type of risk. You let an inexperienced snowboarder, someone that has no experience, that you know has no experience, that you know relied on your tutelage and your teaching and your coaching. You did not spend enough time with her, and because you wanted to get along with your trip, you left her there with your equipment, not monitoring her or your equipment, and you were at fault as well. Because of that, I'm going to split the difference between the two of you. You both are at fault here. You both were negligent, and you both deserve to have some liability in this situation. Judgment for the plaintiff for $305. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $305.
Told you so. Wasn't all my fault.
Whatever. You're a mean person. Never have kids.
I'm not a mean
Never
person.
have kids because
Never
you don't
have
have the
children.
patience. Yeah,
Never
you don't have the patience for teaching someone in kindness.
Coming up.
Did you have a lease, Ms. Williams?
No, we did not.
All right.
We are family, and we don't call the police, and we don't sign a lease.
Joyce Williams claims her nephew rented out a room in her home for several months before he left without notice. Marcus Williams says he was forced to leave after things became chaotic and a glass was thrown near his head.
Good day, everyone.
Good day,
This is the case of Williams versus Williams. Ms. Williams, you are suing Mr. Williams for $750 for unpaid rent. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And Mr. Williams, you say you do not owe the plaintiff anything. It was impossible for you to live there anymore.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, so take me back to how this situation came about that Mr. Williams was living with you.
Well, I own a 3-bedroom home that I rent out rooms for extra money.
Okay.
Okay, now I usually charge $1,000, but I'm still close to my family, so I allowed my nephew Marcus to rent a room for $750.
Did you have a lease, Ms. Williams?
No, we did not.
All right.
We are family, and we don't call the police, and we don't sign a lease.
Oh, all right.
And I only asked for a few things. I asked that he get a job, don't be messy, stay out my business, and give me enough notice before he moved out. So
And how much notice was that?
1 month.
Okay, so how long did he live there?
5 months.
All right.
I'm going to have to correct that it was 7 months.
All right.
But the 6th month, things began to change.
How did they begin to change? What happened?
Me and the boyfriend, my aunt's boyfriend, started to have a disagreement. Her boyfriend was cheating on her, and
Your
I
Honor.
discovered it. while he was at a bar.
Your Honor,
I confronted him about
This case is not about my boyfriend and my love life.
But
this case
comes
is about
into
money,
play. It
and
comes
we need
into
to go
play.
all the way back. Now, the second month, he found a job. I was so happy, and he paid the rent. He paid the $750. Now he's making friends, and he's throwing parties.
Coming up.
He was supposed to give me 1 month's notice before he left. He failed to do that.
I did, but I also did not plan on coming into such a chaotic.
We're back with the case of Joyce Williams, who brought her nephew Marcus Williams to court over unpaid rent.
So you paid rent the second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month?
And then
What
the
about the sixth month?
The 6th month and the 7th month, the money was there. The rent was paid.
In the 6th month, the rent was paid?
It was paid by her boyfriend to keep me quiet.
You
Yeah.
suing for $750, Ms. Williams. Tell me why.
He left without coming back. He owed me money.
Why did I leave?
I told it that she doesn't
missing
want
out
to hear
in
that.
in a very important piece of the
The
story.
judge does not want to hear that. And this is what I'm dealing with.
She threw a glass.
We're family.
Mind you. And
I threw
This was the
I
second
threw
or
a glass.
third
It didn't
outburst
hit
that
him.
she's had.
I threw a glass at my boyfriend's head. And
what about the time when I threw out a fork and you yelled at me because it was your favorite
It may have come
fork?
a little close to Marcus.
Bottom line is,
he left, didn't come back.
became contentious in the house between you, your nephew, and your boyfriend.
He left before paying on the 8th month. He owed me $750. He was supposed to give me 1 month's notice before he left. He failed to do that. And the rent is due the first of the month.
The environment.
What day did he leave?
The 28th.
So he left before the next month.
Yes,
But
Judge, yes.
He didn't pay for the next month, and he didn't give the 30 days notice you agreed to.
No, he did not.
Did you agree to give a 30-day notice before you left?
I did, but I also did not plan on coming into such a chaotic environment.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
Mr. Williams, you agreed to live in your aunt's home month to month.
Your Honor, there is no paperwork, with all due respect.
But when there is no paperwork and there is no lease, usually the court and the law assumes that it's a month-to-month tenancy. If you wanted to leave and it was so contentious and you didn't feel safe, you do what you should do. You just give the 30 days notice. Now, your aunt had already given you a break. She never charged you for the first month that you never paid for, but you could have at least given her that last month's rent. And if it was going down the way you said and you wasn't really paying it anyway, you should have just got that month paid like you did the last two and given the 30 days notice and left the best you can. For this reason, judgment for the plaintiff for $750. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $750.
We did not have to do all this.
I'll have to take responsibility for it, but,
Jason Miller claims his neighbor pretended to be someone else via text message in order to get business out of him. Sasha Cash says she needed to create a distraction so Mr. Miller would stop hitting on her.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
You may be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Sean. Thank you. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Miller versus Cash. Mr. Miller, you are suing Ms. Cash for $598.69. You claim she defrauded you.
Correct.
Explain what happened to the court.
5 years ago, I got out of a very serious relationship, and it emotionally destroyed me. I was depressed and could not speak to people in public. And a friend of mine connected me with a therapist, and the therapist finally got me open enough to go out and experience people. He suggested that I go to my building's social hour, which is, I live in an apartment building, we have a social hour on the rooftop.
All right, so you found the strength and the courage to get back out there.
I did.
That's good. That's what you have to do when the chips are down and you have a bad relationship. So you picked yourself up and dust yourself off and went on down to the social hour.
Right.
What happened?
Well, the first time that I went, I met whatever her name is today at the
Miss
social.
Cash.
Miss Cash.
That's what's listed here.
Yes. And she was very nice, very outgoing. She seems to know everybody. So I thought this could be somebody who could be a friend of mine. After about 4 times of being there, I was telling her, you know, I've decided I'm going to dip my toe in the dating pool. And I'm on some of the apps and was having no luck. She said that she had somebody who was perfect for me. That if I gave her my phone number, she would have this person contact me.
Stop there. Ms. Cash, do you remember meeting Mr. Miller at the social hour?
Yes, I do. Your
All
Honor.
right, can you explain to me what your recollection is of that
Yes.
meeting?
When I met the plaintiff at the happy hour the first time he was there, he seemed nice at first. And I'm a very outgoing person. I can talk to anybody. But I think maybe he got confused because he hit on me right away.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
And
So
to further this,
why did
Your
you
Honor,
feel like he was hitting on you? What was said?
Well, it just came on very strongly, and then to further this, he started showing up everywhere. He was at my apartment. It made me feel very uncomfortable. I told him I had a boyfriend. He still didn't deter him, so I just figured at this point, maybe if there was somebody else that was taking his attention, that he would leave me alone, which was the case.
So you meet at the social hour. After the social hour, you say he showed up at your apartment unannounced?
Many times, yes.
So, Mr. Miller, take me back then. Ms. Cash says you came on really strong. Did you?
No.
Did you
I mean,
go to her apartment unannounced and knock on the door?
I would tell her yes. I would stop by her apartment and tell her I saw packages in the lobby for her. We've had them stolen before.
All right, so you coming over to her house, you think you're friends, she thinks you are stalking her. I mean, this is a problem. I want to understand how this came to a head, though.
Came to a head, like I said, after 4 of the happy hours that I had gone to. And like I said, I was having a conversation with her in regards to my dating situation.
All right.
She said, here, why don't you I take your phone number. I've got somebody who's perfect for you. I will have her get a hold of you.
All right, so what happens?
That very same day. I actually have it here in
I'd like
text
to see
messages.
that evidence, please.
Okay.
I'll take your whole folder.
Okay.
Thank you.
What happens?
Diana texted me that night. Said Sasha sent her to me, and that therefore we started with what I would say a text message relationship.
With Diana?
With Diana.
The woman
right.
you think Miss Cash introduced you to?
Right.
So I see it, you text back and forth, how's your day going? Great, no complaints. You guys are having small talk. What do you do for work?
We would talk for hours and hours during the day.
Okay,
There's a
she
lot
says
of
she has an Etsy shop. You could get something from my Etsy shop, okay. Do you have an Etsy shop, Miss Cash?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right, so you were posing as Diana. You admit that?
Yes.
Coming up.
Miss Cash, you own the Etsy shop.
Yes.
Now, you were trying to divert his attention.
Yes.
But were you also trying to divert his dollars?
We're back with a dispute between Jason Miller and his neighbor, Sasha Cash, over jewelry purchased under false pretenses.
So you created a diversion. It was almost a catfishing.
I created somebody that would leave me, so he would leave me alone, and he did.
Okay, so
I did
once
not.
you introduced him to Diana, he never talked to you again? Because I would think if you introduced him to a friend of yours, he'd still be talking to you because now he want to talk to you about Diana.
And I
No,
was.
he did
and
not.
yes, I was. And the happy hours that we would come to, I would also bring up Diana every time. She knew about my relationship with Diana.
And so how did you figure out that Diana was not a real person?
That's
that it was really Miss Cash?
That's a very interesting thing. After about 2.5 months of texting with Diana, I finally got enough nerve to ask her on a date. And she said that she would consider that, but she had to go out of town because her mother got sick. And I was like, okay, I felt bad for her. So our texts got less and less. And so I messaged her to see how she was doing. And mysteriously enough, her mother was getting sicker by the day. And so I was feeling bad for her. She was talking about how stressed she was, how finances were bad. And so I decided to offer to help her. And she said, okay, well, if you want to help me, you can buy some stuff from my Etsy store. That would help me a lot.
That is not true, Your Honor.
That's in the text messages that she has.
I saw you say I have an Etsy shop.
Yeah, well, I have text messages.
I'd like to see your evidence, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I told him repeatedly.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
I made it very clear. I told him repeatedly that I do not want his help. And that if he kept insisting, and I finally said, well, if you feel like you...
Well, your evidence states, Mr. Miller, that you asked her what she did for a living, but the response is, well, if you want to help out, you could get something from my Etsy shop. That is from Diana. If you want to help out.
That's after, if you...
No, that's before.
That's
this is
after.
Before.
He asked me, he kept saying he wanted to help. He wasn't going to take no for an answer.
My texts precede hers.
Well, yeah, because this text is at 12:31 p.m. and the text you just gave me are at 12:44 and 1:57. So you said thank you for doing that. You don't need to do that again. You're like, yeah, I'm buying things now. So you're on the Etsy shop just shopping.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't need to do that again. And then you say you want to grab dinner. You say it's not a good time. You say it's no problem. I'll just get a few more things from your shop. Now you really shopping now. You on a spree.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, he was just trying to buy my love. He wasn't looking.
If I wanted to buy my love, if I wanted to buy
Well, I mean, let me be clear. He was interested in Diana, right? But, Ms. Cash, you own the Etsy shop.
Yes.
Now, you were trying to divert his attention.
Yes.
But were you also trying to divert his dollars?
No, I was not, Your Honor. He thought I needed help because my mother was sick, and that he paints
Diana's
this.
mother.
But you're the one. You're Diana.
I know, but he's painting this picture like I need help because I'm not working because I'm helping my mother. I wasn't painting that picture.
But you painted the picture. You're the one that said, I'm Diana and my mother is sick.
Yes, but I didn't
you're trying
ask
to
for help.
avoid seeing him, of course.
Yes, I asked for help. I didn't ask for help. In fact, I clearly stated I do not want your help.
No, it doesn't state that. At 12:31 p.m. it says, is there anything I can do? I want to help you out. You respond, well, if you do want to help out, you could get something from my Etsy shop. What? How is something from your Etsy shop? And here you go, Mr. Miller. Okay. So, So what do I get out of it? Now you acting like a little perv. Diana says you'll be getting more than just jewelry. No wonder you were shopping.
Exactly that. The next line does say.
My undying admiration and a great product. Oh, Diana, you were there with the dialogue now.
Well, on Etsy, you get your status from your great reviews. That's all I was meaning
Not a good review
by
from
that.
me.
But then after he starts purchasing, and he says, I'm going to buy more stuff.
I told him not to.
You say, that's sweet of you, but you don't need to do that. I don't need help. It's okay. Now you're sending mixed messages because at first you say if you want to help, you can get something. Then after he buys something,
I thought it would make him go away, and here it just encouraged him more.
Oh, no, you didn't, because you wouldn't have said you'll get more than just jewelry.
Well, yes, my admiration. When you have an Etsy account, you send little gifts in your purchases, like stickers or just
so
whatever
that wasn't, you weren't trying to leave a little undertone.
No,
you
not
were
at
saying
all.
you'll get more than just jewelry, my undying admiration and a great product. But then there's a wink emoji.
Coming up.
She only sold women's jewelry.
Drop pair. All right, and you're buying this? Who are you going to give this to?
Well, if things proceeded with Diana, I would give it to her as a gift.
What she need a gift of the own jewelry that she makes?
We're back with a dispute between Jason Miller and his neighbor, Sasha Cash, over jewelry purchased under false pretenses.
Did you ever just say to him, hey, I'm not interested in you personally. I also don't like people coming to my door.
I told him I had a boyfriend.
And did you ever say, I have a boyfriend, and your constant contact, the way you're reaching out to me is making me feel uncomfortable? Did you ever say that?
No, he was standing at my door. We live in the same building. It just made me feel uncomfortable.
You just said, I got it. I'm going to create a whole different girl and have him talk to her, but I'm going to have him buy jewelry from my Etsy store.
No, I never thought that. I just thought if I had somebody else he was interested in that could have conversations with him, that he would lose interest in me, which he did.
Lose interest in you, but you'd gain his financial support of your business.
I never intended that.
But did you give him the money back when he bought the stuff?
No, because my Etsy store clearly says no returns or refunds. All sales are final.
All right, I'd like to see what you bought from her, Mr. Miller. Do you have evidence here? I see these boxes.
These two.
I'll give you those. There you are.
Oh, you were shopping.
Oh, yeah. $598 worth.
Gold earrings.
I
Cute
will add
little
that
turquoise.
she only sold women's jewelry.
Drop hair. All right, and you're buying this? Who are you going to give this to?
Well, if things proceeded with Diana, I would give it to her as a gift.
What she need a gift of the own jewelry that she makes?
I didn't have any woman to give it to at the time.
Coming up.
This is the problem here. And I mean, I do not understand. It seems so cliche, but why can we not communicate properly?
We're back with a dispute between Jason Miller and his neighbor, Sasha Cash, over jewelry purchased under false pretenses.
So just quickly, how did you find out there was no Diana?
So I hadn't heard from Diana for a couple of days, which wasn't unusual because she was taking care of her sick mother, from what I understood. So I went to one of the happy hours, and I saw Miss Cash at the happy hour, and I went to approach her to say hello. And just as I was about to walk up to her, I got a text message from Diana saying, I missed you. It's nice to chat with you. So I messaged her back because I was excited. I hadn't heard from her in 2 days. So I messaged her back saying how happy I was to hear from her.
And her phone went off.
And her phone rings.
Okay, but still, it rings. Do you see your message in her phone? So what you typed, you saw appear because you're standing that
I'm
close to
directly
her.
behind her.
So you see it, and then what do you say?
I see. You're Diana. So you have been lying to me this whole time.
Do you own up to it, Miss Cash?
Yeah, I said, yeah, because I didn't want you coming around. You just creep on me all the time, and you're always around. So I just figured if you had your attention on somebody else, you'd leave me alone, which you did.
I didn't because I had your own personal phone number by then.
Well, he obviously didn't because he was walking over to say hi to you still. Right after he texted Diana, he was still coming over there to talk to you. This is the problem here. And I mean, I do not understand. It seems so cliche, but why can we not communicate properly? It is easy. And I'll tell you what, we spend more energy trying to avoid uncomfortable conversations than just having the courage to have them, be straightforward, and ask for what you want. There has to be some part of you that kind of enjoyed this, because there's no other reason to go to these lengths to make someone feel like they have a love interest that they don't have.
Well,
it also is a bit cruel, given the fact that during these conversations he's had with you, Ms. Cash, he's expressed that he's just willed himself out of a terrible low point because of a relationship he has that broke up. So there's just so many dynamics here that, in my mind, you did not operate in good faith.
Well, I had a
And
stalker.
for that reason, no. I read the text messages. You clearly say when he asks you what you can do, what he can do, you say buy the jewelry. That's not how you need to be getting customers. And so Etsy may not give money back. but this court believes you should give him his money back. Judgment for the plaintiff for $598.69. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $598.69.
I'm glad I won. You can remain a slowly owned spinster.
You're the one that was creeping on me. You deserve what you got.
I got a girlfriend now.
Follow me, please.
Good for you.
Farah Ruba Hassani claims her mommy makeover left her with a botched breast lift. Dr. Thomas Grasby claims his offer to perform a second surgery was refused.
All rise.
You may be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is the case of Hassani versus Grasby. Ms. Hassani, you are suing Mr. Grasby for professional malpractice in the amount of $4,500. You claim that he botched your mommy makeover. Explain.
So I'm a mother of two, and I'm in the fashion designing business, and I just feel this pressure to look good. And after having two babies and breastfeeding, I just didn't feel my best. And I went to Dr. Grasby because he was known as the mommy makeover guy, and he was having a discount, and I thought, you know, maybe I should just invest in something like this. So I went to go get a mommy makeover.
What does a mommy makeover entail?
It's different surgeries depending on what your body looks like, but I felt very vulnerable. He saw me naked. I told him all the areas on my body that I didn't feel good about. So he gave me liposuction, a tummy tuck, and a botched breast lift. And I don't know.
A botched breast lift.
Yes, and it's really embarrassing being in the courtroom right now because, as you can tell, like if I turn sideways like this, you can tell that
one breast is higher than the other. The left higher than the right.
Significantly.
And you say this is a result of his work?
Yes, his poor work.
His poor work.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Grasby, did you botch the breast lift?
Good day, Your Honor. Dr. Thomas Grasby, MD, and no, I did not.
Talk to me about when you saw Ms. Hassani in your office. She wanted a mommy makeover. Is this something that you do often?
Your Honor, I have been a plastic surgeon for 16 years.
Okay.
I've been specializing in mommy makeovers for the past 10 after my wife decided that she wanted to have something like that done, and I realized what joy that could bring to mothers. So I've specialized in it for 10 years. I've done over 1,000 and probably thousands of plastic surgery procedures.
And does the mommy makeover, is it always the same three?
No, it is not. It is those three areas, but not always the same procedure. There could be breast augmentation, there could be breast reduction, there could be a breast lift, there could be other types of things.
But when you saw Ms. Hassani, you came to the conclusion you would perform lipo, tummy tuck, and a breast lift. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
She testified that she's satisfied with the lipo and the tummy tuck. Is that correct? It is the breast lift, which I can see from here, that one breast is higher than the other. She says she's dissatisfied with that. How do you address that?
Your Honor, people heal differently, and people heal at different rates on different parts of their body. I explained some of the procedural things that she needed to be aware of, some of the dangers and some of the things that
What are the dangers?
Just as I said, people heal differently. Swelling in different parts of the body can reduce and change the size of things.
How long ago was this surgery?
It was a few months ago, and can I please show you what it was supposed to look like after the healing process, which you said was only 3 weeks?
Yes, thank you, Sean.
You can tell that one breast is significantly higher than the other. And then when I looked at my stitches and my scars, I noticed that on my left breast, there were a lot more stitches and there was barely anything under my right breast. So I really don't think he did much work. I think he lifted one and forgot
Your
to do
Honor,
the other.
she got what she needed on
Really?
both
All right, so I'm
breasts.
looking at this evidence you presented, and I can see that the left breast is significantly higher than the right. Now, how long after your surgery was this picture taken?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And that is
now
not
you're
unusual,
at 3
Your Honor.
months.
I'm at 3 months and nothing is looking any different. He's talking about swelling. All the swelling is gone. I really just don't think he did the surgery. People make mistakes.
Your
They're
Honor.
human. They make mistakes. Sometimes people do the wrong surgery on the wrong knee. They do things like that all the time. I think he forgot to do the other
That is
breast.
not the case, Your Honor.
So, Dr. Grasby, how do you explain this?
Coming up,
Now he wants me to come and pay $2,900 more to get one breast lifted that
Your
is
Honor, she
his
demands a
mistake
complete
in the
refund.
first place.
And I am not willing to give her a complete refund. She is here. I'm a 5-star practicing surgeon.
and later,
And she very flippantly said, yes, please, thanks, and rushed out. We used to be
Did you
closer.
tell her yes, please, thanks?
I said thanks because I wanted to get rid of her. I wanted to go away for the weekend, and she was being a pest.
we're back with the case of Farah Ruba Hassani, who blames Dr. Thomas Grasby for her botched mommy makeover.
Why would you think that she would be satisfied with one breast sitting higher than the other when the whole point of her coming to you is to have you restructure it so she felt more confident?
Your Honor, it is not usual, but it is not unheard of for a patient to need an adjustment after the swelling and everything has gone down. Sometimes a patient will need to come back for a slight
So did you tell her she
adjustment.
needed to come back for additional work?
I did tell her that she had the option to come back and that
He wanted to charge me again. He wanted to charge me $2,900
No, Your Honor.
after I already spent
No, Your Honor.
$4,500.
No, Your Honor.
He wanted to charge me
So it was
$2,900
$4,500 for the breast
for the
lift
mommy,
alone.
the mommy
No,
makeover.
ma'am.
For the whole mommy
Yes.
makeover.
And now he wants me to come and pay $2,900 more to get one breast lifted that
Your
is
Honor, she
his
demands a
mistake
complete
in the
refund.
first place.
And I am not willing to give her a complete refund. She is here. I'm a 5-star practicing surgeon, well respected.
Yes.
And she is trying to
Your
smear
Honor,
my
he
name.
And while
surgery.
I understand that, Dr. Grasby, I am struggling to understand why, after you performed a surgery that you can obviously see didn't yield the results a woman would want them to yield, why you would not then do the extra work that you say might need done, but for free.
May I present this, Your Honor?
Please do. What is that, sir?
Your Honor, that is what the bill would be from the hospital and the anesthesiologist, which I have no control over. I have offered to give her corrective surgery,
I
an
don't want you
adjustment,
touching
an
my body
adjustment,
again, okay? You
which
already
is
messed it up
rare,
one time.
So you're
but not
saying
unheard
that
of.
you basically are not going to charge for your services,
And I have
but
no
you
control
are
over the
going to
hospital.
have to pay the hospital cost of $1,500 and the anesthesiologist $1,400. That's why you said it would be $2,900.
which I have no control over, Your Honor.
This is the bottom line, is that I can look at this woman and see clearly that one breast is significantly lower than the other. When a woman comes to you for a mommy makeover, she expects to be made to look better than when she came in.
And I have offered
No,
to
but what
correct
you should do is offer the service within the price paid, because within the price paid, you are saying, I am going to perform the service well, and if that doesn't happen, you should be reperforming it until it is up to reasonable standards.
And I
This
have-
is not
I have
reasonable.
offered to do that, Your Honor.
But
and
for
she's been
a fee.
unreasonable. Not my fee. I have offered to do it for free for her. I have no control over the anesthesiologist. I have no control
But that
over
needs
the
to come out
hospital.
of your pocket.
And Your Honor,
Why wouldn't that come out of your pocket?
because I don't believe.
You know why? Because you were already not charging enough for the services in the first place. And Ms. Hassani, you should add a red flag. As soon as you heard $4,500 for 3 surgeries, that don't make no kind of sense.
He said that he normally has it at $9,000 and that they were doing a special,
So
and
now
that's
my
why I took
question to you-
advantage of it.
This doesn't make any sense. So my question to you is, why sue him for the whole $4,500 when 2 out of the 3 surgeries went well?
Because I'm in there to get a mommy makeover. That means I'm supposed to come out feeling really great about myself, and I'm an emotional mess now. I can't even go in front of my own husband anymore. I don't feel comfortable, even though he makes me feel beautiful. I don't feel beautiful anymore.
And have you done any research, and can you present to the court what it would cost you to have this reconstruction done at another surgeon
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
I've talked to a breast surgeon, specializes in breast, told me this was a botched breast lift and that he would do it and fix it for me for $4,500. He said.
So this doctor says just the breast reconstruction is $4,500.
Yes.
From what I have read, heard, and understood for the people who I know who have had it, this is the price for one breast that I think is more realistic than an entire mommy makeover, $4,500. You have to accept some culpability in this, Ms. Hassani, because I don't think you did your due diligence. And
I don't think I knew enough about these surgeries. I think I just put myself out there and I trusted him.
Listen, every sale ain't a good bargain. But I am looking at this woman. This work that you've performed on her is not up to standard, Dr. Grasby. You should want to get this fixed immediately. You should have not even want her running around town talking about Dr. Grasby did my mommy makeover.
Your Honor, I had to have
So looking at what I can witness here, this is the best evidence that you could ever offer. That's not done right. And for this reason, judgment for the plaintiff for $4,500. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $4,500.
You shouldn't be doing anyone's surgery, okay? You don't know what you're
And
doing,
you know what?
okay?
You walked into this with your eyes open, and clearly you don't understand the risks, and you didn't follow medical advice. I told you what needed to be done.
Look at
I
me.
told you I was willing to do it, and you have walked away.
Coming up.
Do you often go on other people's property in the neighborhood if you see something suspicious?
Yes, only if it's merited. Her Honor, may I know I talk a lot, so just stop me if you feel I am.
Don't worry, I will.
Lynn Rye claims her sprinkler system was broken after she caught her neighbor snooping. Martha Loken says she was concerned there was a possible intruder at Ms. Rye's house.
Good day, everyone.
Good day.
Ms. Rye, you're coming to court today because you claim that the defendant, Ms. Loken, should pay you $2,000 in property damage. You claim that the defendant broke your sprinkling system when she was snooping around your house. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Explain.
We've been neighbors for about 10 years. Ms. Loken has a habit of snooping around people's property, and I went for the weekend, and when I came back, she was in the backyard, and I went out there to confront her, and she claims she slipped, but she stepped on a sprinkler.
So you go outside to confront Ms. Loken, what, to ask her, why are you in my yard?
Exactly.
And so how many times have you caught her snooping or being present on your property?
Well, she's our neighborhood watch person.
Are you this neighborhood watch?
Yes, but not because I wanted to be nosy.
Do you often go on other people's property in the neighborhood if you see something suspicious?
Yes, only if it's merited. Her Honor, may I know I talk a lot, so just stop me if you feel I am.
Don't worry, I will.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so basically I was taking my dog Wally for a walk, and as we were walking, I noticed that the side door that leads to her backyard was ajar. So that was already a signal for me to be
And it's usually closed?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I saw a truck I've never seen before parked along her driveway. And note that this was right after she and I had this conversation where she said she was going to be gone for the weekend. Could I please take a look at her house? We used to do this all the time for each other.
Stop right there.
Yes.
Coming up.
Did you tell her yes, please, thanks?
I said thanks because I wanted to get rid of her. I wanted to go away for the weekend, and she was...
We're back with a dispute between neighbors Lynn Rye and Martha Loken over a broken sprinkler.
She told you, Ms. Rye told you, Ms. Loken, I'm going to be gone for the weekend. Would you keep an eye on the house? Is that your testimony?
My testimony is I saw her leaving, so we had a little chat. I said, are you going for the weekend? She goes, yes. I said, would you like me to check in? And she very flippantly said, yes, please, thanks, and rushed out. We used to be close.
Did you tell her yes, please, thanks?
I said thanks because I wanted to get rid of her. I wanted to go away for the weekend, and she was being a pest.
All right. You're walking your dog. Your thought is?
My dog starts to bark.
Okay.
My dog never barks when we walk down her home. So I said, okay, another third sign, right? So I texted her. I wouldn't just barge in, Your Honor. Said, are you home? Let me know that you're okay. No response. That's very unlike her. So I went through the side door, saw the strange man in her kitchen, got surprised, And then the next thing I knew,
You
she
went
started
in the
screaming.
house, too?
No, just the backyard. But you can
Oh.
see. So now I'm more concerned, right? I couldn't see her from my vantage point. And so I went in there, and then she started screaming like this maniac, if I may say so, saying, "Get off my,"
She started
backyard.
cursing at you to get out her property.
Yes. And I was so scared. I lost my balance and I tripped on what I thought was a rock. I could have sworn that was a rock.
What was the damage?
Her foot landed on it. I
Do
didn't
you have
see.
evidence of the damage?
Yes, I have sprinkler.
Thank you. Please present all your evidence, everything you brought, and you can tell me what this is. Thank you, Sean. This first picture is the sprinkler?
Yes, the one she stepped on.
So tell me about the damage.
It no longer works. So when I went to get an invoice to fix it, they said they no longer make those parts. The sprinkler system was over 3-4 years old, so I would have to get a whole new system.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
How much does it cost to replace one of these?
I'm not sure. There's 6 of them. It's $1,200 for 6 of them.
The biggest issue I have is neighbors of 10 years. When you broke the sprinkler, why didn't you just say, "I'm so sorry, I'll pay for breaking this"?
I did. I told her I'll work with you, but when the $2,000 bill, I thought that was just exorbitant.
You didn't want to work with her on it.
She would
No,
have
because I
nothing
didn't,
to do with me.
You can tell me a sprinkler system costs $10,000, and I would say, "Oh, okay, I have no idea, $2,000, $3,000."
It's obviously you have no idea because you
Yes.
let them replace
Yes.
your entire sprinkler system
Yes.
when you only had one broken sprinkler head. That's ridiculous. It's been determined by this court. Ms. Loken, you need to pay her back $200 for the one sprinkler head you did break.
Yes.
And I'm just going to use your estimate that you sent. I do not think she owes you for an entire new sprinkler system. I hate that you got taken advantage of for that on the repairs, but unfortunately that is not her responsibility. Judgment for the plaintiff for $200. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $200. Newlywed Nicole Jackson claims her special day was nearly ruined by an incompetent wedding planner who had a panic attack. Tim Sullivan says he did his best despite the circumstances.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is a case of Jackson versus Sullivan. Ms. Jackson, you are suing the defendant for $1,000 for not executing the day of your wedding. He was your planner, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain to the court what happened.
He basically ruined my wedding, Your Honor. On the day of, he didn't do the job. He got very stressed out. When I was a nervous wreck, of course, I was the bride. And in the end, he had a panic attack, so we had to tend to him.
At your wedding, the planner had the panic attack.
Yes.
Not the bride.
Exactly.
All right, so take me back. I want to understand how you entered into this contractual relationship. Had you been referred to this wedding planner? You'd worked with him before and something else? What?
I went on forums, wedding forums, and he was highly recommended, had a lot of great reviews. I had a meeting with him, and he was great.
And at
He
the
was
meeting,
great.
you decided, I really like this guy's style. I want him to plan.
Exactly.
So, Mr. Sullivan, I want you to get in here. So you entered into a contractual relationship with Ms. Jackson to be the wedding planner at her wedding.
Yes, Your Honor.
What did the contract entail?
The contract entailed, it was a $14,000 budget for the entire wedding, which was totally absurd. But what we're basically dealing with is a Karen kind of person over here. Don't let the pretty face fool you. I believe she's a master manipulator. It was a $2,000 payment to my company.
All right, so for $2,000, when guests arrived at the reception,
Yes.
you were then supposed to handle
Everything. It was way
everything
too
about
much.
the wedding.
Yes, way too much.
every detail.
Every detail. She had me doing multiple things. Then her friend Jessica got involved, who I didn't even know was coming to the wedding. And then she wanted Jessica to step in and basically take my role. I took a step back, and that's when things just got out of control.
So you're at the wedding. When do things start going awry, Ms. Jackson?
So I had asked for no kids at the wedding, and some of my guests showed up with kids. And Mr. Tim here, he just asked them to leave.
Everything she's saying BS. She asked me for two things: no cell phones and no kids. When there were cell phones, I had a basket out. I had one of the valets look at the cell phones. She didn't want the cell phones. Then Jessica made another decision to have cell phones in case there was an emergency. While she says I was having a panic attack, I was actually stepping back, making a call so I could get more tables and chairs because there was all these guests coming. And the guests that were coming with the kids, I, yes, escorted them off of the premises.
And so instead of, you didn't take a minute to say to the bride, some of your guests are bringing kids, would you like them to stay?
I absolutely did.
Do you remember him asking you whether or not you wanted the guests that brought kids to stay?
No, he didn't ask me. He was like, there are people with kids. I'll tell them to leave. I'll tell them. And I was like, no, like I didn't want to have to deal with the situation. I was a nervous wreck. I
so
was
you
getting
don't
my hair
remember
and
him
makeup
asking
done.
you that?
No.
All right. Did either of you bring a copy of the contract?
Yes, we did.
I'd like to see that, please.
It's right here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sean. I don't see anywhere on this contract where it says no children and no cell phones.
That was discussed, Your Honor, that was discussed prior, because I'm talking massive text late at night. I mean, my wife was actually getting very, thinking there was something going on, like, is this woman hitting on me or what?
That's
These are
new.
11:30, 12:30, 1 a.m., so she had all these little details. So this is the night before the wedding. She said no kids, no cell phones.
No. We talked about it.
I have it on my cell phone, yes.
But why is it that important details about what you wanted at your wedding were not inside of the contract? Why wouldn't you demand that that was in the contract, Ms. Jackson?
I don't know. I am not a wedding planner, so I trusted him to know everything that needed to be on that contract.
Mr. Sullivan, why didn't you put it in the contract? You are an experienced wedding planner.
This was all discussed via text.
Coming up.
He started breathing very heavily, and then we thought he was having a heart attack. Instead of it being my moment where I was going to walk down the aisle, he stole all the attention from me.
And later.
If he would have called me when this happened.
But hold on, Mr. Jefferson, he's saying that he called your maintenance person.
They are supposed to call them, but he calls me. He's called me several times.
Hold on.
But he never called me about this.
We're back with a dispute between bride Nicole Jackson and wedding planner Tim Sullivan over a disastrous wedding day.
Where are the text messages?
I believe we have them printed out, or maybe I did not bring them today, but I do have an email that I sent to her.
I'd like to see that.
Email. This woman's constantly changing her mind.
Well, it was my right to change my mind on my wedding day.
Your marriage is not going to last. Your husband.
The bride is always
there's
right.
There's one person
it was
crazier,
my
and
wedding
it's your
day.
husband.
Okay, let's get some order. This email says, good morning, Miss Jackson. You were a beautiful bride, and we did it. You got down that aisle. It was a blessing. I couldn't have done it without your friend Jessica. She was an absolute lifesaver. Please send her my gratitude from Tim.
Correct.
So you said you were stressed because she was relying on her friend, but you sent her an email saying you're so happy that her friend stepped in?
Her friend definitely helped, but her friend's just as crazy. She did not save the day. She overstepped the boundaries and was taking on too much stuff.
You were freaking out, and she was
not freaking
calm
out.
and
I was calm as a
collected,
cucumber,
and she
and
really helped
everything
me
was
through
perfect.
this.
No.
Without her, it would have been a disaster.
This woman changes
So let's get some order. Let me read the email. So you then respond back, Miss Jackson. Thank you for the kind message. You're absolutely correct. Jessica would be a great wedding planner, but she was invited to be a guest at the wedding and not work. And since you admitted that you couldn't do it without her, I believe she deserves half of the $2,000 I paid to you. Your panic attack also put a damper on my day and is another example of your inability to properly execute the day of the wedding events as planned. I want to know about this panic attack, Miss Jackson. What actually happened to Mr. Sullivan? What did he start doing?
Well, it was right when I was about to walk down the aisle, and I said something about the flowers, and he said, but there are enough flowers, and then he started breathing very heavily, and then we thought he was having a heart attack. And so, instead of it being my moment where I was going to walk down the aisle, he stole all the attention from me.
Okay, so in your big moment, you're still very upset about this, because in your big moment as a bride that you had waited for, when you asked him a question about why something was missing, he basically panicked.
Yes. So instead of me walking down the aisle, it was like people tending to him because he was like having his panic attack. And so we thought it was really serious. We thought it was a heart attack. And then there was a doctor, and he told us, no, it's a panic attack. Don't worry, it's okay. He'll be fine. He just needs to
So this is before
get
you're
some-
entering this is before you go up the aisle?
Yes.
And then what does he start doing? Hyperventilating?
Yes.
And then the medic has to come see him?
Yes.
This is all because the flowers weren't what you said?
Yes.
So then what happened for the rest of the reception, Mr. Sullivan?
Your Honor, this is all BS. She's lying through her teeth. I stepped away to make the call. The reason I was panicking and breathing hard is because we didn't have enough tables and chairs for her guests. And also, I was escorting the children out. I had no idea it was her aunt or great aunt or whoever this person wasn't on the list. We had 150 guests. They're all on the list. I make sure that my concierge valet person checks them all in accordingly, like all my other weddings. It's the perfect wedding.
It's
the perfect wedding. It's the perfect wedding. She's delusional.
Did you have a panic attack, Mr. Sullivan?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
So why did the medic have to come talk to you?
That wasn't a medic.
What was it?
There was a doctor at the wedding. He was one of our guests.
He was in
Oh,
all
so
white.
one
He
of
was
your
a
guests had to
caterer.
come-
He was a caterer.
So you
She
never
thinks it was a
panicked.
medic.
You never panicked.
I was breathing a little heavy. I was panicking over the.
Hold on. You
Jessica
openly
said-
admit in this email that her friend Jessica had to help you substantially.
I mean, she helped a little bit. I put that in just because I email all of my clients at the
All
end.
right. Things don't really always go as planned at weddings. We understand that. But we do understand a bride hires a wedding planner so that they do not have to deal with all of the issues that happen at a wedding. Your contract was not clear. You obviously needed some assistance for a friend to have to step in and handle as much as they had to handle. Even though you supposedly are an experienced wedding planner, it makes no sense. A guest should not have to jump up and help you plan. You acknowledge that in your email because you weren't expecting her to then say, I deserve a refund. But after I've heard this story, I can see now that you were not prepared. Now, I do understand that maybe she was changing her mind about a couple things, but that's also part of being a wedding planner. That's the business that you're in. Sometimes you have to make what they call in sports game time adjustments. And that's what wedding planners should be able to do. So it has been determined by this court, the judgment is for the plaintiff for $1,000. Court is adjourned.
All rise. Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $1,000.
I can't believe you called me cray cray. You're the
Yes,
cray cray.
I'm gonna get my money.
You
I'm
had
gonna
a
bring you
panic
back to court.
attack
I'm gonna
at a
bring you back
wedding,
to
and
court.
you're a wedding planner.
You're a master manipulator. This is total.
Yeah, right.
You may exit the courtroom now.
Coming up.
How do you think, Mr. Jefferson, this tub got rusted?
Either two ways. Tie-dyeing, you're doing different stuff.
Lord,
I
he
mean,
got
you
him in
can
there
do-
tie-dyeing. When's the
Exactly.
last time you tie-dyed something?
Parker Langford claims his former landlord is holding his security deposit hostage. Stephen Jefferson maintains there was significant damage to the bathtub.
Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Langford versus Jefferson. Mr. Langford, you are suing Mr. Jefferson for $2,000. You claim the defendant failed to return your security deposit after you moved out.
There was a little bit of a rocky start at the beginning.
Rocky? That's beside the point.
All right. Mostly smooth sailing living there, and except it was a little hard to get him on the phone.
Let's get to the issue, which is why you claim, Mr. Langford, Mr. Jefferson refused to return your security deposit.
Yes, Your Honor.
Usually the reason why you don't get your security deposit back is because there's damage.
Yes.
What was the damage?
The damage was done to the tub. There was a rust stain, and the reason for the rust stain was a water shutoff that I was not given any type of notice about. I wasn't aware of it until I came home from work.
So tell me what happened when you see this water damage.
I immediately contact. There was a maintenance man that I was in contact with.
Mhm.
At this point, communication with him, I kind of wanted to cut off as much as I could.
All right, so I'm looking at some pictures now you submitted. This is rusty water coming out of your faucet.
Yes, Your
in
Honor.
the sink.
Yes.
And then also, rusty water in the tub. So you saw this happening and you immediately called maintenance?
Yes.
And what did they tell you?
He helped me clean it, and this was actually what it looked like after.
If he would have called me when this happened, like he calls me on everything else.
But hold on, Mr. Jefferson, he's saying that he called your maintenance person.
They are supposed to call them, but he calls me. He's called me several times.
Hold on.
But he never called me about this.
Coming up.
What could Mr. Langford
I think
have
he
done?
did something in there either two ways. Tie-dyeing, you're doing different stuff.
Lord, he got him in there tie-dyeing.
Exactly.
When's the last time you tie-dyed something? Mr. Jefferson, that was so 80s of you to say that.
It is. Actually.
We're back with the case of Parker Langford, who is fighting with his former landlord, Stephen Jefferson, over a security deposit.
Mr. Langford, did you testify that when you saw the rust coming out of the sink and out of the faucet on the tub, that you called maintenance, or did you call Mr. Jefferson?
I called maintenance and I emailed Mr. Jefferson.
I want to know from you, did your maintenance man ever say to you, I went to fix apartment number, blah, blah, blah,
No,
there's a rust issue?
I never got an email or a text or a phone call from my maintenance man about this problem.
You had no idea?
No idea until I did a walkthrough.
So when you did the walkthrough?
When I did a walkthrough.
When did you walk through? Did you walk through before he left the apartment?
No, I walked through after he left the apartment because I have a lot of apartments that I'm dealing with.
Okay.
I've been an owner and a manager for 20-something years of two different complexes. Exactly.
Okay, so you've got multiple complexes.
Yes.
You don't always do the walkthrough before a person leaves.
I don't. And I actually sent him an email stating that was going to be the case, okay? Stating that I wouldn't be able to do the walkthrough right away. And when I did walk through and I saw the rust stains in the tub, I said to myself, okay, well, I can't, he's not going to get his deposit back. So I actually sent him an email stating that.
Did any other tenants have problems with rust?
No.
Any other tenant?
No one ever complained. No other tenants. No. And those water in a complex, the water is, all the pipes are connected, okay, except for the hot water.
So
all the
what I
pipes
want
are
to understand is,
nobody had a complaint.
How do you think, Mr. Jefferson, this tub got rusted? What could Mr. Langford have done?
I think he did something in there either two ways. Tie-dyeing, you're doing different stuff.
Lord, he got him in there tie-dyeing.
Exactly.
When's the last time you tie-dyed something? Mr. Jefferson, that was so 80s of you to say that.
Well, it is.
But
Actually.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
I think you left the apartment understanding that, well, they already know about the rust issue. Here it is. I'm getting ready to go. Mr. Jefferson, you cannot hold a former tenant's security deposit for an issue that existed during their lease term, which was remedied by your maintenance staff that you just refused to address because you may say you didn't know, but your maintenance person is an agent. They work with you at your complex. They have the obligation to inform you of these repairs so you can fix them. It is for that reason. The judgment is for the plaintiff. Do you understand? You cannot hold back $2,000 of his security deposit, $1,400 which you should have spent to fix the tub in the first place, and then $600 more that you just decided you're going to hold back probably for your other units. You cannot do that under the law. Judgment for the plaintiff for $2,000. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $2,000. Andrea and Keith Childs claim the money they loaned wasn't used as intended, so they want it back now. Elisa and Timothy Childs claim the money was a gift to spend as they please.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake now presiding.
Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is the case of Childs versus Childs. So, father and son, you're suing your son for $10,000 today, which you say you gave as a loan to buy a house so that he could have more space. And you say he did not handle that money appropriately. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I gave my son Timothy the $10,000 when he and his wife announced they would be moving east to start their new careers there. The agreement was he was going to be able to use the money for a down payment to get a bigger house, which would have enough space so that Andrea, beautiful wife, and I would be able to visit our grandchildren that we expected to be arriving in the future.
Were they expected to pay it back?
The grandchildren would be the dividends on this loan.
It was a promise, Your Honor. It was a promise if they had grandchildren.
All right, so all I need you to do, you don't have to pay me back the money. I just want to see some grandkids.
I want to see some grandchildren, and I want some space in that house where we can come and have some nice long visits.
I want to hear from you, Mr. Childs. It's sad to see father and son here in court, but things happen, right? Mr. Childs, did you believe your father's money was a gift to you and your family, or do you think it was a loan?
Well, Your Honor, my father is a narcissist. He's been in and out of my life for in and out for a few years until I was about 30. And it was actually at the request of my wife that I try to repair that relationship with him. But no, Your Honor, the money was a gift, nothing more. Knowing how my father is, I even actually sat down and spoke with him about this and said, does this need to be repaid to you? And he responded, no, grandkids would be more than enough.
All right. So take me back to that day when the money was offered, when the entire conversation came up.
Well, me and my wife were planning for our wedding.
Our wedding.
And to my father's credit, he did help with a portion of it. He did help with the groomsmen gifts, and he did help with some of the reception dinners.
My parents paid for almost everything. And, you know, his gift was generous, but we both felt that it was just something, since he hadn't been in Tim's life until he was 30, we both felt it was just something he was doing to try to control the situation and also to try and prove himself. Now he's a good father. He's giving all this money, you know. Now he can live, he's just the same as my family.
So was this money during the wedding to help you all with the wedding, or was this a wedding gift that was given to you at your wedding, or was this money that you received from him after the wedding was over?
It was before the wedding, Your Honor.
Ah. And did he pay any additional costs associated with the wedding besides this $10,000? Did he pay for anything?
Outside the groomsmen gifts and the reception dinner, no.
Everything has changed now, but back in the olden days when I was younger, the groom's family paid for the liquor, the transportation, reception. Is that it? Or are you just saying he didn't pay for that?
That was her family that paid for that.
My family paid for everything.
Okay, and look, things have changed now. I'm just saying back in the day, there were certain responsibilities of the groom's family. So we didn't do it the traditional way, but before the wedding, you got this $10,000.
Yes.
And so you agree, Mr. Child's dad, that this was given to your son and his soon-to-be and now wife before their wedding?
With the expectation that they would put the down payment on a nice, sizable property, and there would be the grandchildren, the great, beautiful sound of little feet that Andrea and I would go and...
The little feeties?
You see?
We would go and we would have some wonderful visits in the years to come. They did not live up to that. There's no expectation of it happening now. There's no plan to... They're just focusing on their career.
So do we have that in writing somewhere? Did anybody send a text? Did anybody do a promissory note? Did anybody say this money is conditioned on this in writing?
It was an honorable bargain between a father and a son.
Coming up.
But have you had any kids yet?
We have been trying, and you know, they never even took the time to ask us how we felt. It was just harping on having kids.
We thought the holidays, we'd have the sound of the announcement.
I had a miscarriage.
We're back with a dispute between Andrea and Keith Childs, who are fighting with their son and daughter-in-law, Elisa and Timothy Childs.
All right, I want to understand, Ms. Childs, what you understand to be the situation.
He made a promise to bargain. It was almost like a bargain in a way, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I might add that on the check it even says for your future.
It doesn't specify anything.
Instead, we visit them.
Who has the check? Let me see that, Sean. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Here it is. The check And in the memo, it says, for my son's future.
Which would involve beautiful grandchildren and a nice, big, wonderful home.
It also could just involve moving expenses, portions of the wedding that they can't afford to pay for, honeymoon. For my son's future is quite vague.
We invested in our future. We were in North Carolina.
A little apartment.
A one-bedroom apartment.
It was it's a beautiful, spacious condo for the city. We needed it to be closer to my job. I got a promotion, and that's why we moved to Connecticut in the future. We were thinking of them the whole time. You know, it's a large apartment. It's a one-bedroom, but it does have a little, you know, sort of nook. There's an area that's separate that we could use for guests.
An uncomfortable roll-out couch. Not even a real bedroom, just like a little office space area.
So, Dad, you're big mad about this. What do you feel like? They cut you out of their life? You wanted that $10,000 to help them to have a house that was large enough where you could come and visit? Because you're real mad about this.
And spend time with those grandchildren that I wanted to see.
But have you had any kids yet?
No, Your Honor.
There's no plans for having those kids.
They don't know that. We have been trying. And, you know, they never even took the time to ask us how we felt. Or it was just harping on having kids.
We thought the holidays, we'd have the sound of the announcement.
I had a miscarriage. You didn't care at that visit. You didn't care at the holidays. You didn't even ask why.
You didn't tell us. We thought you just put on a lot of weight.
You didn't notice our attitudes.
We thought you just gained some weight and you were just
Which
waiting.
is none of your business either way. None of their business. I had a miscarriage and all they did was demand, when would I have kids?
So right now, while this court is in session, this is the first time you've ever shared the news.
Yes, Your Honor. This is the first time we discussed this.
In-laws. That you, in fact, had a miscarriage. Thank you, Sean.
Why would we feel like we could share something like that when they're so selfish? Everything we try to do, they only want it their way.
Selfish? On Christmas Day, 5 hours to spend with us on Christmas Day? That's an insult.
You'd rather spend it with your own family.
Don't you think it makes sense? I can trust them. We needed to be together in a place that we could relax and try to be restored.
The little apartment where you come out and you cooked a beautiful meal for you, and all you had to do was clean up after it,
and I made
it wasn't
some
good enough.
veggies, and it wasn't good enough. It wasn't vegan.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Childs. Hold on now. Now, your daughter-in-law just said she suffered a miscarriage. Your son. They went through something very traumatic. You didn't even take a beat. You still yelling about a meal and somebody didn't make any dishes. How insensitive can you be?
This is just typical of him. Typical. He wasn't even there for any of Tim's childhood. And he let his relationship with Tim's mother get in the way of him seeing Tim. So the visits petered off, and then there was nothing.
Well, his mother didn't want me around because she was blaming me for his psychological problems, so I didn't come around.
He should put that aside. This is his son.
Hold on. Now I see what's really going on. You did not have the type of father-son relationship that you know you should have had with your son, that maybe even you wanted with your son and he wanted with you. Is that correct?
Yes, and I made mistakes. I wasn't very good, but I don't want him making the same mistake. I want, get started with these grandchildren. I want to see them. I learn from what
So what's really going on is your intense desire to have these grandkids is somehow in your mind righting a wrong that you really have not processed and been able to deal with. This is obvious because I don't know how you are so upset over dishes and the size of the apartment. I realize you may have wanted to make sure they had a room for you. However, with the money you gave them and their salaries, maybe they're only able to afford the house they live in now. And maybe they plan.
You should have thought about that before you moved back east. Expensive housing there.
I moved for our future. We moved, Your Honor.
We moved
Didn't they
because
just say they had jobs? loss?
We both got promoted.
I got
that's why
my
we
dream
moved.
job in advertising as a head of a major nationwide company.
She could easily afford to have kids.
Again, did you not hear me say?
Miss Childs, are you here with us today?
Yes. I don't agree
Did you
with
hear
this.
the testimony?
Yes, Your Honor.
They've been trying.
Coming up,
Why would they move into a one-bedroom apartment, Your Honor, instead of a house?
Why are you talking like a robot when people are talking about real issues?
we're back with a dispute between Andrea and Keith Childs, who are fighting with their son and daughter-in-law, Elisa and Timothy Childs.
Miss Childs, how can you be that insensitive to say that they need to try harder after you heard she suffered a miscarriage?
Why would they move into a one-bedroom apartment, Your Honor, instead of a house?
Why are you talking like a robot when people are talking about real issues?
Said roll-out couch hurt my back.
Why are you all worried about a roll-out couch when your children have suffered a damaging traumatic loss? I want an answer to that question. Don't talk to me about the roll-out bed again. Why? Why aren't you not addressing that? Why have you not said anything?
I just.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry that
No,
they're
don't
so
apologize to me.
insensitive.
Mr. and Ms. Childs, I'm extremely sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
That is not easy. That is not something you just get over. And I feel really sorry for you that the parents who attempted, I think, to support you by giving you money don't understand that there are things in this life that far outweigh money. And that's life. And the loss of life in that way is extremely, extremely traumatic. So I want to offer you my deepest condolences.
Thank
and I'm
you.
sorry for your loss. Now, as for you, Mr. and Ms. Childs, I don't know what planet y'all live from. I don't know where y'all from. I don't really know what's going on here today, but you're not listening. You're talking, but you're not listening.
Coming up,
You so busy arguing about a pull-out couch and the fact that they were supposed to have babies, then come to find out they were trying. And then I said, I'm done talking to you. I'm done talking to you.
we're back with a dispute between Andrea and Keith Childs, who are fighting with their son and daughter-in-law, Elisa and Timothy Childs.
The fact that you have not really offered any compassion to your own children about the loss of their first child together, you so busy arguing about a pull-out couch and the fact that they were supposed to have babies, then come to find out they were trying. I said, I'm done talking to you. I'm done talking to you. I'm done. Miss Childs, order. Miss Childs, you got one more time to talk, and I'm going to have Sean escort you out. You have not offered one bit of time.
We had no idea.
Sean, escort her out. I'm tired of hearing your mouth.
Okay, Your Honor. I'm fine with that.
I'm glad you are, since I run this courtroom. Goodbye. Now I have another apology. I'm sorry that you do not have the parental support that you should really have at this time. It's really hard. So, Mr. Childs, at the end of the day, when you offered up the money to the kids, you offered it up. The court can look at the period of time when you did it, before the wedding. The memo that you put on the check was for their future. There was no specific deal, no specific bargain. It was to set you up for your future. You also wanted grandkids and a place where you also could come relax. Maybe at that time they couldn't afford a place that you could come relax in, but maybe they were building to that and wanted to first focus on those grandchildren that you wanted. But they tried, and unfortunately, at this point in time, we're not able to. You've got to accept the fact that when you gave that money, it was a gift, and those things are not revocable, and you can't come back later and put a condition on a gift. And at the end of the day, this is your family. This is your son. You just scowling all day. You just been mad for the last 20 minutes.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
Your father may need more time to understand what it means to be a father, what it means to support. That doesn't just happen overnight. I think the money may have been a guilt thing, feeling
Absolutely.
badly about the past.
Absolutely.
But it could have been a hope for the future, but he does not have the skills yet to carry out what his intentions were. We're going to keep hope alive. But until that time, you may need to set some boundaries, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Childs, this was a gift. What you about to do?
A gift.
This was
It
a
was
gift.
an agreement.
This was a gift.
Bargain.
You finally did one other face than a scowl. That's why I was like, what you about to do? Come with it. It has been determined by this court. Your case is dismissed. Judgment for the defendant. Court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise. Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the co-defendants. The co-plaintiff's case is dismissed. Samir Rishi Nanda claims he dislocated his shoulder after he was thrown from the wedding horse he rented. Cash Darius claims the plaintiff kicked the animal, so he only has himself to blame.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is the case of Nanda versus Darius. Mr. Nanda, you are suing Mr. Darius for $1,250. You say the wedding horse you rented from the defendant threw you off and caused your shoulder to disconnect. And Mr. Darius, you say that the plaintiff wore pointy shoes and injured your horse's side. Is that correct?
Yes, that is
Let's
correct,
start
Your
with you, Mr. Nanda. What happened?
Your Honor, I fell in love 2 years ago with the girl of my dreams, and we've been planning a wedding for the past 6 months. As you know, with Indian weddings, we have a ceremony that happens outside, so it's like beautiful, grandiose. We're on a horse. So I rented a horse, beautiful white horse from Mr. Darius over here. I have never ridden a horse in my life. So he gave me the peace of mind knowing that he'll be there, he'll take care of the horse, he'll make sure I get on and off the horse and nothing will happen. And I get on the horse and I fall down on concrete, dislocate my shoulder, and basically—
Before the wedding?
Before the wedding ceremony, correct. So we're outside, we're all dancing. I have 150 guests on my side of the family. Everyone's having a good time, everyone's taking pictures, my photographer, everyone's smiling. It's the greatest day of my life that I've been waiting for about 2 years.
And you fall.
And I fall on concrete.
In front of everybody.
In front of everyone. And I dislocate my shoulder. And I literally had to almost go to the hospital. But luckily, I had a doctor that's a groomsman. And him and a physical therapist just relocated my shoulder, took a lot of pain meds, and just continued with the ceremony. But
Do you have pictures of you on the horse?
Absolutely. Actually,
Let me see those, please.
Exhibit 1, if you want to pull it up.
Yes. Thank you, Sean.
That's me, the handsome guy on the beautiful white horse. And it's very typical for the groom to arrive on a horse or an elephant as the bride is awaiting the groom's arrival. So this is a traditional ceremony, and it's a very joyous—
This is before you fell, or this is after they put you back together
No,
again?
This is before I fell. After, I didn't want to deal with the horse at all.
All right. So, Mr. Darius, what's your response?
I would say that to the best of my ability, I instructed Mr. Nanda on how to treat my horse, how to ride my horse, and he acted with negligence and disregard and disrespect to both me and my horse.
What are those instructions that you customarily give, and are they written?
They are not written. I do it. When we first meet the guest, I say, greet the horse. Make sure the horse feels comfortable with you. Let him smell you. Pet the horse because.
Did you bring your contract with you?
I did bring my contract.
I'd like to see that, please.
So, Judge, I also want to add, when the horse came, the horse's head turned the other way, and then he told me that I should start communicating with the horse, talk to the horse. To get the horse comfortable with you, I don't talk to horses. Well, when you meet strangers for the first time, what do you do? Do you just walk up to them, or do you shake their hand first and greet them? I'm sorry, I'm not about to shake the leg of a horse. Well, you assured me that it's okay.
Let's get some order. I'm looking over the contract. So I see a clause here that says limitations in use of the horse. You're the only person that should ride.
Correct.
Don't relocate the horse.
Correct.
Don't poke the horse.
Which he
Use
did. He
flash
poked the
photography. And all guests must be at least 3 feet away from the horse. And use all the customary practices for care. So you're claiming, Mr. Darius, that Mr. Nanda poked the horse somehow?
Yes, with shoes. You can see in that photo, there's shoes similar to these. Obviously, I don't have his shoes because
These shoes are pointy, and they injured my horse. My horse on his ribs, on Prince's ribs. The skin's broken. There's bleeding and there's bruising.
And so where are the shoes? This is the picture of the shoes you had on.
That is my shoe. That's me.
What's on this shoe?
So
the red shoe.
It's just a decorated cloth material, very soft.
Sean, let me see the shoes that Mr. Darius brought to court.
Here you are, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Coming up.
Why do you think the horse got irritated, Mr. Nanda?
So I don't communicate with animals. My friends are humans, and he assured me that he would take care of everything, make sure everything is safe. This is the biggest day of my life.
You signed a contract.
And later.
What is the agreement?
Well, there was never a, there's no set time. So I spoke with her.
I get it.
We're back with a dispute between Samir Rishi Nanda and Cash Darius, who are blaming each other after a fall from a horse.
So, Mr. Darius, I want to understand, how are you saying that the tip of this shoe injured the horse?
So can I explain the process of riding the horse for the ceremony?
Sure.
Okay. So I instruct the client how to mount the horse. You mount the horse on the left side. This is a practice throughout all the horse. Every single person who rides a horse always mounts on the left side. Everyone does this, so I'm not giving him a hard time. But he did not want to mount the horse on the left side initially. Photographer wanted to take pictures with him mounting on the right side. I said, no, the horse is going to be uncomfortable.
So, Your Honor, I'm on a beautiful horse, and a photographer's there. So I have my Indian garment on along with the shoes. So I take my shoes out of the stirrups. I don't do anything to the horse. And as soon as I tried to put my feet in the stirrups, started walking maybe a couple steps, the horse's two legs went up. And then I fell. And luckily, I didn't hit my head on concrete.
Unless you were...
So as you took your feet out to take a picture.
I took my shoes off to take a few pictures, correct.
All right, because you didn't want your feet in the stirrups for the pictures.
Right. The photographer wanted like my whole outfit with the shoes because the stirrups were covering up my shoes. So I tried to put my feet in the stirrups, and he was gone. He was 150 feet away. So I thought he would be by my side.
And help you, but you were just kicking Prince
I wasn't
in the
kicking
ribs.
Prince.
Yes. How do you explain the skin, the bleeding, the bruising?
So what is the skin and what happened? Do you have evidence of that,
I have
Mr.
a picture
Darius?
evidence.
And this is the first time I'm hearing about the horse being injured as well, Your Honor.
Well, you didn't tell me about it.
How do you account that these cloth shoes caused this kind of damage, Mr. Darius?
Because he was kicking. He did not care about the horse. He cared about looking good for his wife.
Because he couldn't get the stirrups in?
Yes, that is
Now,
correct.
you watched all this.
And I was trying to come in and get him and help him, but he was kicking, and then Prince did rear up as he mentioned, and then Prince was overwhelmed and just ran off, which caused you to fall, I'm assuming.
Well, I fell on concrete, and thank God.
Why do you think the horse got irritated, Mr. Nanda?
So I don't communicate with animals. My friends are humans, and he assured me that he would take care of everything, make sure everything is safe. This is the biggest day of my life.
You signed a contract to follow the terms I gave you for treating the horse, and you mistreated my horse the entire day.
My wife is crying in the temple.
Disrespecting me and my horse.
Why do you say he was disrespecting you and your horse an entire day? He said he rode a little ways, got thrown off the horse, got his shoulder dislocated, which he's presented this evidence here of the I guess the fracture in his shoulder.
So it's dislocated, and they were about to call 911. Luckily, the groomsman was a doctor. I had a physical therapist friend. They relocated my shoulder. I dealt with the pain the entire day.
Do you remember in the contract when the contract said, does it say keep your feet in the stirrups?
You're supposed to follow the instructions that I give you.
I'm looking at that, but I don't see it in the instructions.
I've been to many Indian weddings in the past, and the groom is always taking pictures with the horse. And really, it's you and the horse for about 10 minutes. So within 10 minutes, my life flashed before my eyes.
Was the photographer taking pictures with a flash or no? It was the daytime, so no, right?
I'm assuming not, because the sun was glaring. And
I don't see anywhere in this contract where it says you have to keep your feet inside the stirrups, Mr. Darius.
It's implied.
Implied where?
I gave verbal instructions, and he's supposed to follow
Did he give
those
you verbal instructions to keep your feet in the stirrups?
No, he told me he was going to be by my side to make sure I get on and off. I mean, the first time I tried to get on, the horse wouldn't let me on and circled around. Then the second time, he helped me get on properly, and that's when all this mess occurred.
And so this $1,250 that you're suing for.
So after that incident happened, after I nearly broke my shoulder, he asked me if I want to get back on the horse. I said, absolutely not. Thank you. I just want to continue. I want to I want to marry my wife, the girl of my dreams, make sure everybody's having a good time. So I'm suing for the horse rental, the x-ray for my shoulder, as well as 8 physical therapy sessions.
And that came to $1,250?
That is true, and it's actually, I have the invoice for...
I'd like to see your evidence,
absolutely.
please.
I have the invoice for the horse rental as well as the medical.
The horse rental was $550?
Correct. And my x-ray was x-ray plus PT.
All right. There's some problems with this case. First problem is, Mr. Darius, the instructions that you need in your contract, you're choosing to give verbally, and that's not okay. You need to have written in your contract that your feet have to remain in the stirrups at all times, as to not in any way disturb or scare the horse. But at the same time, I do feel like you saying keep your feet in the stirrups is something that a reasonable horse owner would be saying to a patron who was riding the horse.
Especially an inexperienced
I believe you said it verbally. I do believe that. And so it's the determination of this court that you all are both to blame in this situation. It is for this reason I'm going to split the difference between the both of you. Judgment for the plaintiff for $625. Court is adjourned.
All rise. Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $625.
You really need to make sure this doesn't happen again.
That's not going to happen again.
I could have hit my head. I could have gone to the hospital.
I'm not renting out a horse ever again.
Yeah, I don't plan on getting married ever again.
Coming up.
Mom, I really want you to take care of Junior. I saw the way you take care of all the kids for 32 years. And more importantly, did you ask her, did she feel like it?
At the moment, when we talked about it, she did.
Alicia Ramirez claims she's always babysitting her grandson, and her son needs to stop taking advantage of her time. Nathaniel Ramirez claims his mom should be happy spending so much time with his son.
This is the case of Ramirez versus Ramirez. Ms. Ramirez, you're here suing your son for a little over $1,200 for babysitting fees.
Yes, Your Honor. I am here, unfortunately, suing my son. Suing him simply because he has taken advantage of my being retired, what he thinks I should be available 24/7.
How many grandkids do you have?
It's one child. However, Your Honor, I had a daycare center for 32 years. Just because I did that for a living, that doesn't mean I'm going to be a babysitter for the rest of my life.
Why do you feel it's your mom's responsibility, or do you feel like you had some type of agreement? Tell the court.
To be honest, Your Honor, I thought me and my mom, since she being my mom and she being the grandmother of my son, that we had a mutual agreement, unspoken mutual agreement that she was going to take care of my son. She shouldn't be bothered by taking care of her own grandson, whether it gets paid or not.
You think this is just built into the role of grandmother, is that they're supposed to take care of the kid? What did you say to her explicitly about, what's your child's name?
Well, it's Nathaniel Jr.
So, okay, so
Yeah.
Nathaniel Jr. Mom, I really want you to take care of Junior. I saw the way you take care of all the kids for 32 years. And more importantly, did you ask her, did she feel like it?
At the moment, when we talked about it, she did.
Coming up.
He has taken advantage of me.
That's not true, Your Honor. I'm sorry, but I have to cut you off.
We're back with the case of Felicia Ramirez, who brought her son Nathaniel Ramirez to court over babysitting fees.
Did he ask you, Ms. Ramirez?
I take offense at the fact that he said unspoken. My time is money. I am bringing my son to court because he has taken advantage of me.
That's not true, Your Honor. I'm sorry, but I have to cut you off.
Your Honor, I do have text messages where at 7:18 p.m. he texts me and says, give me another 2 hours. That puts him at my home at 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Sean, let me have those text messages, please. So you're saying...
By 9:30, my grandson should be asleep.
So you've
in
got
his
text
bed.
messages here that say, you're texting him. How far away are you?
Correct.
Because you're ready for your grandbaby to go home.
I'm ready to, probably, yes.
And he says, oh, Mom, I just got a couple of of walk-ins. Give me another 2 hours, please. Love you. You say, all right, please let me know ahead of time when you're running late. Thanks, Mom, will do. Promise you can't predict the walk-ins, though. Love you, too. What I'm not understanding, and no one has said to me yet, is what this agreement was. Like, what is the agreement?
Well, there was never a certain amount of hours that I gave my
And
mom
that's where
to
the
take care
abuse
of,
comes in.
and there's no set time. So I spoke with her.
I get it.
before.
However, you're basically testifying on behalf of your mother right now, because you're telling me there's really no agreement. I drop the baby off whenever I want. I pick the baby up whenever I want. What is the did you agree to compensate your mother for anything?
Well, I talked about it. I mean,
Did he just start dropping the baby off? Or were you saying, Ms. Ramirez, hey, I know you're at the shop late, bring my grandson over here. I need to know.
There was no agreement.
Thank you so much.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
You're suing as if there was some type of contract. And I was going to ask you, when you ran your daycare before, was there some type of contract that you used?
There was a contract for the hourly, for the half days, for the full days, for the weekdays, for the months.
How many years have you been watching your grandchild?
A year and a half.
She is basically charging you or asking this court to award her $1,250.
Only.
Which is basically a month of care. And the baby been over there for over a year and a half. And I'm not going to waste any more of your time or my own. Now, the truth is, under the law, Ms. Ramirez, y'all really don't have no contract. But this court is about being fair and being equitable. And the truth is, your mother has been taking care of that child without any financial contribution for you for far too long, Mr. Ramirez. And for that reason, it has been determined by this court that the defendant does owe the plaintiff $1,250. You need to pay your mother that money, and then you all need to set up a real agreement in writing about what your expectations are with respect to care. All right, judgment for the plaintiff for $1,250. Court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $1,250.
I can't believe you took me to court, Mom.
I had to.
What do you think Junior's going to say?
Junior should not know.
Well,
he's
going
too
to know
young.
eventually.
Well, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine, son.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Tanya Ward claims her car was towed after her so-called BFF hogged their shared parking spot. Kimberly Huff says the plaintiff needs to take accountability for her actions, so she's not paying a dime.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
You may be seated.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. Good day, everyone.
Hey, Judge.
This is the case of Ward versus Huff. Ms. Ward, you are suing Ms. Huff for $3,700, which are fees you paid as a result of a car towing.
I'm here to sue my so-called best friend forever, Ms. Kimberly Huff over here. I believe she owes me. She racked up $3,700 in fines and fees for me, and she had no right to do that. She's staying with me rent-free, and we've just been through this so many times. She needs to accept some responsibility.
Just take me back quickly. Where was she parked?
She was parked in my parking spot. So I had to park on the street, and I was the one that ended up waking up in the morning and my car's towed. So.
All right. So Ms. Huff is still living with you?
Not anymore, but she was at the time.
And your apartment or condo complex had parking spaces?
Yes, assigned parking. I work at night. She works in the daytime. She's a kindergarten teacher. I'm a desk manager in the evening. And we usually switch off with no problem. Communication tends to be fairly open, but there are certain, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I am.
Well, wait, now it sounds like there's some more issues happening here. So how did it come to be that Ms. Huff started living with you? Why did she need to come live with you?
I rescued her. She was going through a horrible breakup. I offered to let her stay with me, get her stuff together, and just live life. She did not pay me back with any kindness, any gratitude. So now I just want money because she cost me quite a bit of money.
You went through a breakup and you
Honor.
needed to come stay with Ms. Ward?
Your Honor, all the personal reasons to stay with her, she was supposed to be my best friend. I mean, she's a great person. We went to college together. I remember one incident, she had a midterm and her alarm clock
You sabotaged
was
me.
unplugged
Exactly.
because I did use it. But she usually has, you know, backup like as the iPhone or whatever as an alarm clock, and she like blames everything about me, and she never takes accountability.
Now, when you broke up, you called to ask her to come move in with her, stay with her for a little while?
No, she actually offered me. I was on my downtimes. She offered a space for me to stay at her place. And then she just like, I don't know, changed. Like her whole mood changed. She started like arguing with me every day after work. She complains about everything, nags about everything.
I'm the best friend you've ever had, and you know that. I think you need to stop with this.
You're manipulating.
No, I think you need to apologize when it's due and it's warranted, and I think it's been warranted plenty of times. This is the last straw. I love you, but I don't like you.
Well, at the end of the day, she can't be too bad because when you needed help,
right,
you went to stay with her.
Mm-hmm.
So how did it happen on this day? She was parked in the space.
On this particular day, I was coming home. I saw that her car was parked in my spot. I didn't think it was a huge deal. I thought it's probably temporary. She knew I was due to be home about that time. So I get upstairs, I go in, I see she's just passed out on the couch, and I don't have the heart to wake her.
Let me be clear.
Yes.
You came home at a time when normally you would just pull into the space and park because she'd be gone?
Yes.
Or did you come home at a time where she normally parks in the space?
Not where she normally parks in the space. It was she had no reason to be there. So I thought, in this particular instance, because it's so fluid, we never have to argue over a parking space.
So you go up there, she's asleep.
She's sleeping.
You don't want to wake her up.
Correct.
But she's in your spot.
Yes.
Well, where's your car?
I parked on the street. I wake up in the morning, go downstairs to where I parked my car. It's gone. So I look up, where do I find my car? I find a little sign and where to
Your
call
Honor,
in.
she's college educated and she can't read signs because clearly it said no trespassing.
What is that?
This is the sign that she saw. Clearly, you
How
can
do you
read,
know I
right?
saw it clearly?
Let
Were
me
you
see
awake?
that. Sean,
Were
will you
you
hand me that
sleeping?
evidence, please?
Were you not sleeping?
Thank
or were
you.
you pretending?
You need to learn how to
were you
read.
pretending?
You're
So hold on, Ms. Huff, you're
pretending.
saying that you took a picture of the sign that was outside where Ms. Ward parked her car.
Yes.
And it clearly says no trespassing.
Yeah, and she's trying to blame
Assigned
me for
parking
it.
for tenants only, one vehicle per apartment allowed, and any vehicles parked outside of the designated areas will be towed. Visitors, I think that's you, Ms. Huff, must park outside on the street.
Your Honor, I
All
feel
violators will be towed.
She's always blaming
It's
stuff
her
on me.
inconsiderate,
See, she
thoughtless
doesn't even make
nature.
sense, Your
You
Honor.
don't even apologize. How am I supposed to help you if you don't tell me anything? I'm
Your
your friend.
communication
You
is
live
horrible.
rent free for
All right,
a
Ms.
year.
Ward, what does this have to do with a parking space? I don't know.
Coming up.
You're not really being honest and authentic about what you feel about the other person. Now, I don't know why.
I know that she's been withholding information.
always the
I
last
have a
straw with
witness
her.
here who can attest
Oh
to
my
she's
gosh.
holding something back.
And later.
We tried conceiving, we couldn't have a child, and so our neighbors said, you know, we have a colt here, and if you guys want to take it in, you guys can take it in. So we took it, and we basically raised it as our child.
We're back with BFFs Tanya Ward and Kimberly Huff, who are arguing over the cost of a towed car.
Obviously, both of you have some hidden resentments for one another. You are in a long-standing friendship, but you're not really being honest and authentic about what you feel about the other person. Now, I don't know why you waited to get to We the People to decide that you all want to talk about your relationship, but since we're here, let's indulge.
I know that she's been withholding information.
always the
I
last
have
straw
a
with
witness
her.
here who can attest
Oh
to
my
she's
gosh.
holding something back. She has no
Please
reason.
stand up. Who is your witness? Stand up, sir.
Hello, Your Honor. I am Kevin. I'm a building security. On the particular night you're talking about, I saw Kim and an unknown male that I've never seen before, and I've been at this building for 5 years. And I've never seen this guy. And
Kim is Ms. Huff.
Yes, Miss Huff.
You saw Ms. Huff and a man you didn't recognize.
Unknown man I've never seen before. They were in a heated argument. So as I proceeded to break the argument up, I told the guy he has to leave. And when he left, I see Miss Huff was she was scared. So I told her to go ahead and park in the parking structure because she looked in fear for her life. I didn't want to do my rounds, come back, and the guy is on her, you know what I mean?
Right, so did you direct her to park in Ms. Ward's space, or did you just tell her to park in the structure?
I told her to park in the structure. They're assigned one parking spot for the tenant.
And you knew she was staying with Ms. Ward?
Yes.
And then after you parked in the parking space, Ms. Huff, you went upstairs?
Yes. Yeah, it's an ex that I'm dealing with. Unfortunately, he's stalking me, and we were arguing, and I'm sorry for all of this, but that's just kind of how my life is right now.
Does that explain to you then why she pulled in the spot? Because your witness, the witness you brought to court, says he's the one that told her to pull in the spot.
All of this is told to me after the fact.
I'm not sure why he's your witness, but
he was present and he knows that that's my spot. I live there.
And he told her to park there.
He told her to park in a spot in the building.
He just testified that he told her to pull in your spot. Did you say that?
I told her to go ahead and park in the spot for her safety. I didn't necessarily say her spot, but I did say go ahead and park in the garage. So maybe this is on me.
So you owe Ms. Ward $3,700?
No. Pockets are empty, Your Honor. I don't have that, but I'm saying.
I know I don't.
You probably do, but I'm saying. I directed her to go ahead and park in the parking structure for her safety. So maybe you guys.
But this whole night, I'm not informed of this, so I go to sleep thinking she just fell asleep. She's so tired and she's working so hard. She's going to pay me back. I go to bed fully, everything's fine. I find this out later. I'm worried what could have happened to me or her. No one told me anything. I feel like that shouldn't go on.
This is the problem. The inconvenience of them her being in your spot, I completely understand. But what I don't go do is then pull in an illegal spot and then act like somebody else owes me money. You can't do that. Then when you have the opportunity to come up and say, hey, Kimberly, wake up. You're in my parking spot and I need to park now. Why aren't you at work? You don't. You say, oh, I just don't have the heart to wake her up because she's sleeping. That's where this story turns into ridiculousness. Because if you really cared about being able to pull in your spot at that time and you really feared having to pay $3,700, you just wake her up and say, you got to move your car.
For the record, it's my pattern and practice of parking in my assigned spot. I'm unfamiliar with what the street parking laws are. I was just coming home very weary as she was, probably, and I failed to see that sign. This is a given. This is valid.
Exactly. And that's going to be a lesson to you. You decided, right? You decided unilaterally, I'm going to just pull my car over here and go up and see what's wrong with her. Once you saw she was asleep, you still left your car there. You didn't read the signs. Unfortunately, I realize it doesn't seem right that you do a good deed for a friend only to be inconvenienced and then have to pay money to get your car. But the truth is, she don't owe you any money for it. It has been determined by this court the judgment is for the defendant. Court is adjourned.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
Told you it wasn't my fault. 3 of you still love you.
I can afford it. Love you, girl.
Love you too.
Coming up.
Why did you stop coming and taking care of the horse and offering this knowledge you have as a vet assistant?
This man here, I know you seemed really composed, but he has serious anger management issues.
George Larson claims his ex-wife needs to pay up after she abandoned the horse they had raised as their child. Tony Ochoa claims she did her best, but Mr. Larson made it impossible to care for the animal.
This is the case of Larson versus Ochoa. Mr. Larson, you are suing Ms. Ochoa for $2,850 for costs you say are associated with the care of a horse.
I was married to Ms. Ochoa for about 10 years. We tried conceiving, we couldn't have a child, and so our neighbors said, you know, we have a colt here, and if you guys want to take it in, you guys can take it in. So we took it, and we basically raised it as our child. We named him Jacob, and he was a big part of our lives. And just my father passed away. We lost part of our family farm, and I lost my job, and it was just a tumultuous series of events. And she decided to file for divorce and left me and Jacob. And so I was left to take care of Jacob for all that time. I would feed him. She would be in charge of taking care of him in the evenings. And so she would take care of him for about 2 years, but then she got a boyfriend, and in the last 3 months, she just basically abandoned us.
Did you abandon them, Ms. Ochoa?
Your Honor, we agreed that I would still come, and I did faithfully. And
even after the divorce?
I did.
Coming up.
I'm not jealous. I just want her to,
Were
meet
you
me
arguing
halfway.
out at the restaurant or bar where they were?
No, well, I went to the bar and I said, hey, if you're going to be hanging out with him, I don't want you to come to the ranch. I don't want you to come see me. She can come alone.
We're back with a battle between exes George Larson and Tony Ochoa over veterinary bills for their horse.
Sounds like you had an agreement.
It was a verbal agreement until she decided not to come anymore. So she got a boyfriend, and in these last 3 months, Jacob was having health issues. I was the only one taking care of him. I'm not the expert. She's a vet assistant. So I had to call the veterinarian, get him a checkup, and he did x-rays, CAT scans, all these different tests. And I don't have any money. The only money that I make is selling eggs and milk at the local stand.
So if you love the horse so much, Ms. Ochoa, why did you stop coming and taking care of the horse and offering this knowledge you have as a vet assistant?
This man here, I know you seemed really composed, but he has serious anger management issues. I wanted to come. He would approach me, as well as with my new boyfriend, in public. We were at a bar just recently, and you got in our faces threatening. He flat out.
So the way he acted towards you and your new boyfriend made you feel unsafe.
Absolutely.
And you didn't want to come by and help take care of Jacob anymore.
I wanted to come. You said that basically that I couldn't. I think what this is really about is I think you're maybe a little bit jealous.
I'm not jealous. I just want her to,
Were
meet
you
me
arguing
halfway.
out at the restaurant or bar where they were?
No, well, I went to the bar and I said, hey, if you're going to be hanging out with him, I don't want you to come to the ranch. I don't want you to come see me. She can come alone. I said, you can come alone.
But don't bring someone else.
Don't bring someone else. Come take care of the horse. Jacob, it turns out that he had a ruptured heart vessel, and he passed away.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
Do you have any evidence of these issues?
Yeah, I have the medical bill right
Please
here.
present them to the
Yeah.
court. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
This was all given to me in the last 3 months. When she stopped picking up the phone, she stopped coming over. So I just need her to meet me halfway.
And so
in a
you're
verbal
not
agreement.
suing her for the entire month?
No, definitely not. Yes.
All right. So when you heard about Jacob, Ms. Ochoa, what did you hear?
I was working a double shift the day that he passed. There was no way to get to my phone.
When was the last time you had seen Jacob?
Probably almost 2 months.
So it had been 2 months. How long, Mr. Larson?
It was 3 months. She just stopped showing up. I basically said, you can come check the horse. And then she chose not to come.
Threatening. The
You didn't
number of
care for
times you have
Jacob.
called.
I've heard sufficient testimony. This is it. You felt like you didn't want to go over there without your boyfriend because you were fearful. The one problem is that you all had an operating system, that you both took care of this horse. But you stopped taking care of the horse financially. That's not all right. It is clear to this court that you did have a financial obligation to help care for Jacob. I also feel like you had a moral duty to figure out if you didn't want to come there to render the care, then send one of your vet assistant friends or someone else there. It has been determined by this court, judgment for the plaintiff for $2,850. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $2,850.
You left Jacob. I can't believe you did that. Like, we didn't have to come here. You didn't have to do all these different things, and it was just you left home, you left Jacob.
How about leave me alone?
I